Good news, everyone. If you were listening to Ben Cameron a short time ago, Aussie has been captured by her handler. If you're wondering what on earth we're talking about, Aussie the Eagle, who occasionally decides that she's not going to land where she's supposed to and goes rogue, did exactly that in the pre-game for West Coast versus St Kilda. And for a good 10 minutes, there was no way to track her down. Went across, landed to the right of where our broadcast position is, between a couple of the corporate boxes, and then flew across to the other side of the ground and decided to perch above a stairwell, and then did 2 or 3 laps where Luke Shuey actually dived onto the turf in the middle of the ground as she flew over the top of him while the Eagles had run out, mind you. And then knows a good seat, Aussie, because in the President's or the Premiership Club directly below us is where she perched. Eventually the handlers were able to make sure that she's okay. If you think we're exaggerating why that's important, this is one of those wedge-tailed eagles that have the talons that you could absolutely rip someone apart with. The game could not have gone ahead if they hadn't been able to find it. There were many West Coast officials downstairs looking very concerned. Among them, so their CEO, Don Pike. But fortunately, Aussie is okay. Will the Eagles be okay after what was just an awful performance last week? Their worst effort of the season, thumped by 99 points to Adelaide. They're a different team, though, at home, and they face on a St Kilda side today who head west needing a win. They've lost their past 3. They've lost 6 of their past 7, but they can defend. They're in the top 8 in regards to scores conceded this year. So St Kilda under Ross Lyon do what Ross Lyon teams do best, and that'll make it even harder for West Coast. Jake Waterman is not playing. He is the late out for the West Coast Eagles with a shoulder problem. So Jack Williams, who was omitted, comes back into the side, and that's on top of losing Tim Kelly, another one of their key players this season. He was out yesterday with either a glute or a hip problem, depending on who you speak to. Officially a hip problem. So 2 key outs for the West Coast Eagles. Their sub will be Zane True, who came in with the injury to Tim Kelly. St Kilda's sub is going to be Dan Butler. It's 16th, hosting 15th. That was an interesting start to proceedings. Mitch Turner, welcome to you.
Great to be alongside you, Clint. Yeah, very interesting start there. I'm not sure if that's a good omen or a bad omen for West Coast, given they couldn't stop the Eagle flying around here, but maybe that's a good omen for the Eagles as we watch the coin toss in the middle of the ground. I believe it's been won by the Eagles. It's a very interesting coin toss done by the daughter of Neil Danaher, was it? Yeah, one of the Fight MND people here today celebrating, wearing their beanies. The Eagles have won it, I believe. It was hard. They both kind of put their hand up. Jack Steele and Liam Duggan were waving at each other, and I couldn't tell who was pointing and who was receiving. So I guess we'll find out in a moment if they're heading to the Polly Farmer end or the City end.
Hayden Button Jr. in a state of, it was a state game back in the day against Victoria, in a muddy day. Tossed the coin, it landed, he picked it up and said, we'll kick this way. And nobody else argued with it, so he got the way he wanted.
I had the binoculars on, they both waved at each other, said, who's pointing, who's waving?
So no Jake Waterman today, but Chris Waterman, dual Eagles Premiership player, is with us here in the ABC broadcast box alongside Shane Woden. We're about to get things started, gents. How do you see it all unfolding?
Afternoon, gents. Afternoon, Money. Great to have you on board and be with you. I'd like to see West Coast bounce back, and they should. They're a different team, as you know, back home here, Muddy. Bit of energy, a bit better than last week would be really important for them. But also, St Kilda need to do something also. They need to fight. Last week they were really poor offensively against Melbourne as well and showed no fight to probably the last 3 or 4 minutes in the game. So I expect a really hard contest.
Yeah, and I suspect 2 or 3 days ago we all thought we were coming here to get wet, and so did St Kilda, and they've picked a smaller team. West Coast have gone with Harry Edwards. But I am not great that Jake's out, but I'm glad that Jack Williams is back in the team. I reckon he's been great this year. Got to remember, Jack's a late December birthday in his draft year. He's only a baby, Chloe. He's 6'5", can play both ends and ruck, so I just reckon you've got to keep going, kids, all that. No, I'm expecting West Coast to win, but, you know, Ross has come over here to starve the goal supply.
Win today to Hawthorn over Adelaide. Well, the Birds continue to be successful. At least something taking flight in the West, with Aussie rolling around and so many flights grounded at Perth Airport earlier on. It's the Eagles and the Saints. Here's Mitch Turner.
Ball up in the middle of the ground. Bailey Williams starting in there for the Eagles, but Rowan Marshall gets the kick away towards half of the Saints. Duggan went without it. Ball bobbling around, still inside the centre square. Hoff did well for West Coast. Got the handball out to Chesser. Kick up the wing was too low for Darling. Bonner's able to gather for the Saints. Goes wide and finds Hill. Hill Wants to move it quickly now. Kicks up towards half-board. Flying up for the mark is Caminiti. That left shoulder strap was able to control it long enough. Has the ball still a kick and a half from home. The Saints kicking to the City end of the ground. Kick goes inside the forward 50. Barris rose high, knocked it down. Ends up in the hands of Witherden for the Saints. Sheed on his wrong side. Grubbers a kick. Doesn't even make it outside the attacking 50 for the Saints. And Caminiti able to apply some pressure and lock the ball in. It'll be a ball up, 45 out from the St Kilda goal. 1 minute played here, Perth Stadium opening term.
Ball thrown up. Marshall gets the tap, but it's straight to Reid. Broke a tackle immediately. Got a hand pass to no one in particular. The Eagles have got numbers. Riley Williams tried to shovel it out. It came to Hill. Got it on to Dow. Then to Sinclair for the Saints. Kicks high up towards King, but McGovern stood in front. The King has been infringed. And he'll get the free kick for the Saints. And he'll be able to have a shot at goal in line, or starting in line with the left hand behind post from no more than 25 metres out.
There's a push on Barris.
It looks like it,
Yep.
yes. Shep it out of the contest.
It'll be gobsmacked that Flynn's not the first centre bounce, Bowie.
Yes. Bring him in for a reason. He's number one ruckman. Unless he's on managed minutes.
Well, they needed a ruck as well after the way that Bailey Williams got smashed last week. Coming in, here's Max King. And he kicks the goal to start for St Kilda. They're on the board courtesy of your free kick in the opening 2 minutes of the game. The Saints are 1 straight 6. The Eagles yet to score. Good you could be with us wherever you are. Right around the nation on ABC Sport. This is Saturday Footy on ABC Radio, ABC News Radio, Sport Digital, and streaming on the ABC Listen app. Our experts, Shane Woden and Chris Waterman.
Ron Marshall will also be wanting to have a big one. Had his colours lowered last week with Max Gawn, who dominated that performance. So it'll be interesting with the ruck duels and what they do in there. But yeah, you agree. Flynn.
Well, this game could turn out to be something for the Tools, as we all thought it was going to be thunderstorms and lightning all week, but it could be for the Tools today.
So the Saints strike first. They've won in their past 3 trips here to Perth Stadium. 2 of those against the Eagles, 1 against the Dockers, as the ball back in the middle is recalled for a wayward bounce. It'll still be Williams and Marshall. This time the umpire just tosses it in the air. Williams does well, tapped it to space, but went straight to St Kilda. Dow was able to get it to Wilson, kick towards half forward. McGovern got a fist in there, overrunning it was Darcy Wilson. Now he dives back in. Yo's got him for company, and they both tangle up. It'll be a ball up just on the point of the centre square there. Favouring St Kilda's attacking end of the ground again. Just the 1 goal to start proceedings. Ball tapped down. Steele couldn't get it. Ends up in the hands of Gaff. Back into the side the first time since round 1. Got it to Duggan. His kick up the wing. Darling went to ground. Eagles fans wanted a free kick, but Riley Bonner in the end was able to take an uncontested intercept mark. Now send it back to where it came. Half forward for the Saints, coming over the back. Harry Edwards. Another one of those inclusions for the Eagles. Knocks the ball out of bounds. Into the side for West Coast. Harry Edwards, Matt Flynn, Zane True, Andrew Gaff and Jack Petrocelli out. Rotham, Hunt, Dewar, Williams and Kelly, of course, as well as Waterman late.
The Saints brought back in Membry, Clark and Butler is the sub for them today. 3 changes for St Kilda. As Williams taps it in the direction of the boundary. Reid, well, he kept it over the boundary, then got taken high around the neck by Marshall. He went to ground. The umpire decides it's going to be a ball in rather than a free kick, which the locals won't like. Well, there's been some questions about Harley Reid perhaps drawing free kicks for high, but it certainly was high. Right around the neck and then threw him backwards. Nonetheless, it's put back into play. Williams got it down to Sheed. Eagles are away down the commentary wing. The kick is towards Ryan, who marks it left half forward. Liam Ryan plays on by hand to Yo. Kicks into the left forward pocket. It'll land in space. Darling's out after it. Can't track it down. It'll be a ball in. About 10 metres to the left of the Eagles' attacking goal. West Coast heading to the Farmer Freeway end of Perth Stadium in this opening term. They trail by 6 points. The Saints are 1 straight. The Eagles yet to score. 5 minutes gone. Opening term.
Ball be tossed back in. Inside the Eagles attacking 50. Jack Williams will do the ruck work for the home side this time. Marshall alongside him for the Saints. Neither got a decisive hit. Falls out in front of Seb Ross. He handballs backwards to Bonner for the Saints. Now to Webster in traffic. His handball a little low for Wanganeen Miller. I had to give it to Howard. Ran into trouble. Was able to get away from Ryan. Back to Wanganeen Miller, and the kick beyond defensive 50. Favoured Mitch Owens. Took the mark. Plays on. Kicks towards half-forward Barris in a one-on-one with King. Did well. Copped a bit of body contact from the St Kilda forward, but was able to keep his balance and eventually punch the ball out of play for a boundary throw in attacking side of the broadcast wing favouring St Kilda. They still lead 1 straight 6. The Eagles yet to score.
2 missed tackles in 450 by West Coast. Hurt him then.
Williams wins it down, but straight to Dow of St Kilda. Kicks the Saints towards full forward. Barris is up. Takes the mark against King. Has been in terrific form in recent weeks. Barris would have had an emotional week. He was one of the pallbearers for Cam McCarthy at the funeral. One of his best mates as he steers the ball into the left back pocket. The cheer is for Andrew Gaff, back in the team this week for the first time since round 1. Good form in the waffle. Kicks beyond defensive 50. Big pack up. Spills down to Reed, who's tackled immediately. Wilkie got him one way. Ross the other. Ball up the call. Left half back for West Coast. They trail on the scoreboard by 6 points. 6.5 gone in the first.
Ball tossed up back in the air. Bailey Williams did well to get rid of Marshall. Took it out of the ruck. Kicked towards the wing. Webster punched it away from Ryan. Wilkie did well to gather. Shared it with Webster. Now Bonner on his right boot. Kicks it back towards half forward. Going up. Caminiti couldn't take the mark, but he was infringed by Harry Edwards. Just dragged down over the shoulder. Now he wants to move it quickly. Caminiti inside the forward 50. McGovern, big fist from the back. Knocked down to Higgins. Gave it to Clark. Snaps around his body for the Saints towards the goal face. But again, Barris, last line of defence, takes the mark and shares it quickly to McGovern.
Comes out to the right back pocket now to Witherden, who marks. The Shadows. A rare Saturday afternoon game in Perth. Saturday twilight around the rest of the country. It's beyond defensive 50. That's not a bad mark at all for the Eagles. Matt Flynn, drafted to be their key ruck and was injured almost the last moments of pre-season. His first game for the club, the former Giant. The kick is towards right half forward. Attacking the football, Wilkie. Kick was meant for Darling. Charged at the footy. The All-Australian who has it at left half back. In the bright sunshine. Goes on a little bit of a run for the Saints and will kick down the outer wing.
Ball gets kicked down the wing. Big pack forms at the front. Hunter Clark gets a scrambling kick towards half forward. McGovern tracks it back. The Eagles wants it to go out. And it did in the end. So ball up, left half forward, right on the 50-metre junction for the Saints.
Were we surprised with Flynn only the one waffle game?
Yeah, he needed 2 or 3 more for mine.
Yeah.
Adam Simpson did say last week he felt he was probably ready for AFL footy, but I thought they'd give him a run around at the lower level. This time he gets the tap down. Steals there for the Saints, though, trying to shark it away from the contest. Bodies fly in. Harley Reid got a bit of friendly fire. He's on his back. Gets to his feet now as Chess's kick is smothered by a steal over the boundary line. Just caught one from a teammate there, Harley Reid, in Harry Edwards. Right up the midsection, but he's okay.
St Kilda have got to hit up today, Wowie, with those 3 tools West Coast have got. If they're just going to lob it in, they'll just peel off third man all day.
All day.
If they can hit up on them or get the scramble kick in, they've got a chance of scoring.
Glenn Marshall went at it again. Steele got the ball away from the contest to Sinclair. Gave it to Battle. Was able to steady off a couple of steps from 55 out. It's away to the left. The defender trying to hit the scoreboard. Does so, but this time a minor score. The Saints 1-1-7. The Eagles yet to score. 9 minutes played in the opening term.
Here's Duggan for West Coast. At the top of his defensive goal square. Decides to go on a bit of a trundle himself to the left back pocket. With the left. Kicks towards left half back. Ali J flew up. Spilled down to Sinclair. Saints have it again. Chance for Marshall. Kicks around the body. It bounces towards right half forward. Wilson tackled immediately. Got a hand pass out. Came to battle at right half forward. Pops it into the right forward pocket. Chance here for Higgins. Sweeps a hand pass backward. Wood couldn't gather. Gaff was there. Takes it for the Eagles and then turns it straight over. Wilkie marks on centre wing.
The Saints want to keep the pressure on. Wilkie goes quickly into the middle of the ground to Ross. Now inside the attacking 50 for the Saints. Edwards got a fist for the Eagles. Falls away of Henry, though. Knows this ground well, and this time he goes short. Just the 15. And it's taken by Darcy Wilson. Tight in the left forward pocket. He'll go back, have a crack at the Saints' second.
Yeah, very clever there. Just to lower his eyes. find the uncontested one, take 30. Was a great kick by Gaffey coming out here. Wasn't to his advantage.
9 goals this season will go around the corner. Darcy Wilson. The pressure came from the man on the mark. He didn't curl it enough. It's another minor score. 1-2-8 the Saints. Still yet to score the Eagles.
I did enjoy St Kilda's media team having a fake back page of the West Australian today that had Darcy Wilson on it. But what I enjoyed most is even with a fake back page from a Victorian football club, they still put Harley Reid on the back page. As it was Reid versus Wilson for the two young guns. The kick's beyond defensive 50 for West Coast. Reid steals the ball away. He ripped it through. Hand pass overs to Ross. He's tackled here and he's been taken high. Eagles wanted holding the ball. Flynn got him and so too Ginby. He bobs up for the Saints, Ross. Kicks across half forward. Well read by Cripps. Won it down though. He tapped it in towards danger. Wood gathered, spun away. Hand pass to Bonner. Couldn't take it cleanly. Chesser was there. Wilson wraps him up.
It's on the ball.
And it's not.
Had an arm free.
Ball up the call. Inside forward 50 for St Kilda, who lead by 8 points. 1-2-8 to West Coast yet to score. Throwing aloft. Marshall and Flynn with a tap. Spills down. Hurried kick for the Saints towards full forward. And Witherden's able to take the mark on that occasion. The kick coming from Dow. The Eagles have it at right full back. They trail by 8 points to the Saints. 11 gone in the first.
So Witherden will rebound from defensive 50 again for the Eagles. Kicks up towards that big target in Flynn. Was in front of Marshall. Couldn't take the mark. Spilt to Darling. Gave it back to Flynn. Now Petrocelli delayed the handball. Back to the key forward. Darling. His kick off the inside of the boot was a shocker. It fell straight in the hands of Mason Wood. His kick inside the centre square wasn't great. Brad Hill did well though. Gathered the loose ball. Sook off and then kicked it straight into the hands of Matthew Flynn inside the Eagles defensive 50. Not a great 40 seconds of football there from either side. Matt Flynn will have the ball though in the Eagles defensive 50. Handballs and off to the run of Witherden. Goes short just beyond the defensive arc to McGovern. Sun still covering that far side of the ground. McGovern's kick up the wing was a shocker, and Josh Battle takes intercept mark for the Saints. Still leading by 8.
He'll take a couple of steps and then thump it long to the left forward pocket. Flying Duggan, couldn't mark. Marshall stuck a toe at it. It went to Gather, got tackled and lost it. Spilled down to Duggan again. Hand pass comes to Chesser. Just gets away from Wilson. The kick will be turned over once more. Bounce in front of Bonner. Bonner for the Saints. Sends it back from whence it came. He wanted King, had too much on the kick. And Witherden, actually working behind Barris defensively, takes the mark again for the Eagles. They've had some inside 50 efforts, the Saints. In fact, in those figures, they're 11-1, but they lead by just 8 points on the scoreboard. 1-2 to no score. 13 gone in the first.
Witherden goes short to Edwards. Now the kick towards the wing. Pack forms Wilkie. Almost took the mark. Couldn't. Ginby coming through. Has an arm free. He's taken to ground. He's trying to make an attempt.
It's lived in the front half of St Kilda for the last 7-8 minutes.
Ball tossed back up. Flynn v Marshall. Marshall this time tapped it. Too hot for Clark. Ginby grabbed it. He was dispossessed. Now diving in is Cole, laying the tackle on top of Mitch Owens. Another baller.
Just been prepared to go down the line, West Coast. They've made the ground big at all. Challenged St Kilda's defence.
Flynn won the tap again into the space for Yo. His kick up towards Darling. Battle couldn't trap it. Darling did. Kicks it now inside the forward 50. Jack Williams one-on-one with Dougal Howard. Howard does well. Knocks it towards the boundary and is happy to watch it roll over the boundary line. So an inside 50 for the Eagles. It'll be spun back in 5 metres around from the behind post. Still yet to score. 14 minutes played in this first term.
I feel like we're waiting for something to happen in the game, but it could be like this all day. Yeah. This is what St Kilda have come to do, scramble it.
Voice of Chris Waterman. Shane Woden alongside him as Flynn won the tap. Ross was onto it straight away. Hand passed into Jack Williams' chest. Ricocheted off him and over for another boundary throw-in. Still in the left forward pocket. Saturday footy on ABC Sport. Clint Wilden alongside Mitch Turner. Shane Woden, Chris Waterman, our experts. Bridget Lacey downstairs. It's been a terrific afternoon here in the West. Ooh, crunched in a big tackle. Dow spilled out towards Gaff from the left forward pocket. Kicked back into traffic. Reid, surely that could be holding the ball. It was held, didn't get it away. Eventually got it out the side. It came to Ryan. Kicks towards full forward. Diving forward. Williams, is he unable to take it? No. Dropped in front of him. Try to get some support then from Darling. We'll get a pat on the head from Darling, his more experienced teammate, for his efforts. It's going to be a ball up with it held in.
He won't get pink holding the ball in there because
Flynn took it, tried to bang it towards goal, missed. Took clean possession, the big ruck, threw it on the boot, but kicked it behind, missing to the left-hand side. They're one behind. The Saints are 1-2-8, 15 gone in the first.
They move it quickly on the far side of the ground as well. It's in the hands of Mason Wood. His kick up towards a 2-on-1 favourite in the Eagles. Memory did well to keep the ball alive. St Kilda knock it forward. McGovern just sitting back there, sweeping behind the ball, was able to gather and find Jinby. So Ruben Jinby just wants to settle it down for just a moment. First round pick a couple of years ago for West Coast. Goes back inside his own defensive 50 to Barris, and now Barris wide to Witherden. So the Eagles just slowing play down a little bit here. Witherden kicks eventually to the lead of Ryan up on the wing. Had to contend with a bit of sun, but he took the mark. Goes further afield now to Chesser. Just patiently kicking their way up the field. West Coast now. The high kick goes towards half forward. Darling in front. Had one grab, two grabs. Takes the mark. Still 65-70 from home. All the numbers flooding back inside the Eagles attacking 50. Darling runs around. Kicks it towards the top of the square. Who's flying? Flynn flew, but Howard knocked it away. Ryan gathered. Tackled high. Ryan did the crumbing for West Coast. Got down low and was taken over the shoulder in the end by, I think it's Marcus Windhager is the one who's drifted the tackle over the shoulder. Liam Ryan will have a set shot, 25 metres out, slide angle to the right.
It was really smart by Jack Darling. Had to be patient because his teammates and the big keys were up with him in that marking contest. So they had to wait for their forwards to reset, get deep before he can go long.
Game 6 for the year for Liam Ryan. Has been finding his feet more and more every week, and this time his radar is well off. He pulls it poorly to the left, and it's a minor score. So the Eagles still without a major. 2 straight behinds. St Kilda 1-2-8. It's a 6-point margin. 17.5 played. Saturday footy on ABC Sport.
Saints, by the way, still lead the inside 50s 11-3. Wanganeen Miller with the kicking duties comes to Brad Hill, who marks hard up against the boundary at right half back. Kick towards right half forward. Big pack up. Spills down. Clark, great smother. Came from Yo. Came back to Clark. Down. Ducked the tackle of Yo. Gets a kick away inside forward. 50 Higgins. Spoil came from Cole. He'll get it again. And Cole for the Eagles hands it out to Barris. He gives it to Gaff, who's at left half back. Gets a kick away. Yo flies. Punch came from the side from Wanganeen Miller. Spill down to Bailey Williams. Gave it to Darling. Dropped it. Had time to pick it up again. Intercepted by Battle. Battle's hand pass stolen away again by the Eagles. It came from Jimby, then to Darling, who turns it over once more. Howard marks, and he'll go right back to Wilkie at right half back. Still the Saints by 6 points, 18 gone in the first.
St Kilda thought about switching it instead. Windhager goes short to Hill. Now the kick into the middle of the ground's a poor one. Missed the target. McGovern came through for West Coast, but dispossessed straight away. Windhager had a thought, then just threw the ball away under pressure. End up with Cole for the Eagles. Did well to work through traffic. Got it to Jimby. Now the Eagles have some run. Ends up in the hands of Duggan. 2-on-1 against Cripps. Did well to knock the ball to ground. Ryan crumbs it. Gathers, spins, now gets onto his right boot, snaps around the body and pulls it to the left again. That was a tougher option. Jermaine Jones just berating him in the goal square. It's a minor score, 3 straight behinds for the Eagles, 1-2-8 for the Saints, 5-point margin.
Not surprised to see the halfback flankers all getting a fair bit of the footy, Wally. Playing kick to kick at the moment.
Turnover from Bonner, marked by Jinby across half forward. He's too far out to score. Standing between centre wing and right half forward. He'll put it on the left, long and high towards the right forward pocket. Darling attacked the footy. Taps it down a second time to no one in particular. Wilkie's back there. Darling tackles him. Sheed gathers. Hand passing it forward to Cripps. Was able to work it onto Chesser. He's able to find Gaff, who steps and then snaps and kicks a goal. He saw the opening then, Gaff, back in the team. And the Eagles come from just about every part of Perth Stadium to welcome him back to AFL football. And he underlines that with a major. He puts West Coast in front as we head into time on of the opening quarter. 1-3-9 the Eagles, 1-2-8 the Saints. Saturday footy on ABC Sport. Our experts, Chris Waterman and Shane Woden. First, Bridget Lacey is downstairs. Bridge.
Hello, yeah, actually beautiful conditions down here as you mentioned. Just a concern for West Coast. Jack Williams came to the bench and looked a little bit groggy, and the doctors were having a look at his sort of jaw head area, so he looks to be okay, but we'll just keep an eye on him. And Harley Reid got some running repairs to some taping on his feet and ankles, so he took the boots off and got that fixed out and headed back out onto the ground.
Jack Williams a late in for Jake Waterman, out with a shoulder injury. The Eagles get there first through Andrew Gaff. Ball back in the middle. Bailey Williams into the ruck. Took the ball away from the contest, kicked it towards half forward. Petrocelli and Windhager going at it. Petrocelli won the ball, gave it to Chesser. His handball though, straight to Howard. Rebounds to the Saints, kicks it up towards the wing. Hoff and Higgins in a one-on-one battle. Higgins got beaten to the ball by Hoff in the end. Did well, the Eagle. Got it back to a teammate in Witherden. High ball towards half forward. Coming from the side, Petrocelli couldn't mark. Players diving at half forward. Bodies laying on top of the ball. Steele in there, trying to get it out for the Saints. Eventually, the umpire says he'll ball it up. Ball just outside attacking 50 for the Eagles. Toss back into the air. Williams and Marshall go at it. Ball knocked down. Petrocelli gathers it, immediately tackled. The umpire didn't wait too long, says he'll ball it up again. Just outside attacking 50 for the Eagles. They lead by 1 point.
Throw it up. Williams takes clean possession. Bailey Williams gave it to Shee. Kick up into the air. Rookie punches it away. Slapped back by Marshall. Chance to gather and clear. Wilson, the young guns, but his kick is turned over. Jimby marks it, running back with the flight at right half forward. Goes to Duggan. Across half forward from the attacking edge of the centre square. Kicks the full forward. Saints have got numbers. Has the mark been paid? Yes. I thought it might have been touched by Howard on the way through, but it's gone through to Battle, who has the contested mark, and he stands in front of the right hand behind post, who'll go on a bit of a run and kick St Kilda to right half back.
Caminiti at the front of the pack, couldn't take it on the first attempt. Marshall snatched it out of the air, immediately tackled by Tom Cole. With a bit of interest as well. To be a ball up just below our broadcast position. Here on the wing, slightly favouring the Eagles attacking end. Williams knocked it to space. Dow was the first one onto it for the Saints. Took a bounce, running down the wing. Kicks it towards Membry. Barris arriving late with support from Witherden and just punches it over the boundary line again.
Not great communication by the West Coast mids. Both Reid and Dom Sheed going first hands at that recent stoppage. Left the open side. Free for St Kilda to be able to use.
Shallow throw in. Marshall tried to soccer it out of the air. He was being held as he tried to get to the drop of the ball by Bailey Williams. So the St Kilda ruckman will win a free kick. He tried to go short to Windhager. Jones did well for West Coast, chopped it off, then shared it with Petrocelli. Likes to run Jermaine Jones. Hill is tracking him down. Had to stop, give it to Jimby. Now he hands it off to the run of Witherden. Oh, big don't argue. It's contagious at West Coast. Kicks it up the wing towards Cripps. Handball inside for Petrocelli. Now Flynn has it at half forward. He waits. He waits and he waits. Eventually goes back and has the ball just beyond attacking 50.
Yo is desperate for it in the left forward pocket. It's moved short to Duggan. Yo still screaming for it. Now the kick goes that way. He slides out and takes the mark. Had to be precise to get it past Hunter Clark. Elliot Yo was dancing up and down doing jumping jacks for a good 10-15 seconds before someone finally spotted him. Did feel like 10 minutes, Wowie.
Well, it's interesting that Flynn started forward. He's come in as a ruckman, and Bailey Williams has taken the ruck, who's more of a natural forward. And you just saw Flynn then. He had plenty of ample opportunities flooding past, turn around, get in quick, but took his time. Not a natural forward, I think.
Here comes Elliot Yo. Boots cross the 50, 45-degree angle on the left. The kick is missing. It's swung left a long way. A minor score. Eagles 1-4-10. The Saints are 1-2-8. 24 gone in the first.
Gettable.
The first team to work out the hit up today, Wowie, wins this. They're just going the wrong way about it, both teams, I reckon.
Chris Waterman, Shane Woden, our experts here on ABC Sport. Wanganeen Millera has the ball in the back pocket for the Saints. Kicks up the wing. Early free kick paid by the umpires, and it'll go the Eagles' way, and it goes to Matt Flynn. This will be disposal number 7. His first game for the Eagles. 33 at GWS into the side today. Flynn goes short to the lead of Sheed, still beyond attacking 50. Turns and rolls quickly. Kick into the pocket, looking for Darling, who marks over the back. Jack Williams went up in front, provided the decoy, and Jack Darling was waiting for the chest mark from the back. He'll go out from a very tight angle, about 35-40 out, directly below us here as we sit behind the kick.
Don't know what Wilkie was thinking. Just dropped off, Darling.
Yeah. It was good by Williams.
It was good.
Got in the way.
So Darling will go around the corner from the tight angle in the left forward pocket. He bends it around magnificently. Terrific finish from Jack Darling. He gets his first. The Eagles get their second. And they extend the margin a little bit on St Kilda early. 2-4-16 the Eagles. 1-2-8 St Kilda. 26 minutes played here. First term at Perth Stadium. Saturday footy on ABC Sport.
Well, it's smart by Flynn too. As a ruckman would generally go down the line, but good enough by ball in hand and use some short possession. Finds Dom Sheed on the 50. Not the greatest entry inside 50, wide to the pocket, but found Darling unopposed. And great work by Jack Williams just to be able to block for him, get him free, and good finish.
MRO has handed down its findings. We'll bring you those in just a moment at quarter time. Closing in on that. 27 minutes gone now in the first. Matt Flynn is in the ruck, trying to take clean possession against Marshall. He's able to tap it out to Yo. He releases Reed, steps one way in, hand passes back to Yo. He gathered at centre half forward and bolts it towards goal. Was there a touch on it on the behind line? Howard thought he got a fingertip on it. This will go upstairs. Now Howard's definitely made contact with his fist on the way through. It would appear that yes.
Complete. Looking at this angle, we can see the ball is touched before crossing the back of the goal line. Decision on the scoreboard.
So, a minor score. West Coast moved to be 2-5-17. The Saints are 1-2-8. 27 and a bit gone in the first term. Saturday footy on ABC Sport, on ABC Radio, Sport Digital, and streaming on the ABC Listen app. Clint Wilton alongside this man, Mitch Turner.
So the Saints get away with one late in the last line of defence. So we're near the quarter-time siren. Ringadine Miller brings the ball back into play, kicks it up the wing. King brilliantly opposed to McGovern, one-on-one, took the mark. Will have to go quickly if they want to get a late goal here. St Kilda. King eventually steps off his line, kicks it up the wing. Seconds tick down, coming over the back. Harry Edwards came from 3 or 4 deep and just punched the ball into the signage around the ground. So
it's been good early. Had a couple of big spoils.
The ball will be spun back in with just a few seconds remaining on the clock. Still time for a quick takeaway for the Saints. Marshall tried to punch it forward, couldn't. Jinby gathered it for the Eagles, kicks it up the wing. Bailey Williams juggling it off the ground, tapped it towards Harley Reid, broke the first tackle, was caught in the second, but the siren sounds to end the first quarter of footy here on Saturday afternoon in the West. It's the Eagles leading the Saints by 9 points.
West Coast 2-5-17. St Kilda who kicked the first. 1-2-8 for the Eagles. Andrew Gaff and Jack Darling, their majors. For St Kilda, the goal coming from the boot of Max King. Repeating earlier today, Hawthorn by 27 points over Adelaide. The game to come will be the Cats and the Tigers at Cardinia Park. I mentioned the MRO before we just pause slightly. 2 players have been offered bans for last night's game between the Bulldogs and Collingwood. Sam Darcy, rough conduct in the first quarter against Braden Maynard. Careless high and high. He's been offered a 2-match ban for that, while the other suspension will come the way of Riley West for rough conduct on Jeremy Howe in the second quarter, deemed careless, medium and high. He's been offered a 1-match ban for that, Riley West. So the Bulldogs could have lost another 2 players from last night. Taylor Duray's little backhand knock to Nick Dacos's head is being deemed to be a financial sanction, careless low and high. while Josh Dacos for striking Lockie McNeil, fixed financial sanction in the third quarter as well. Cost him $1,800 or so. So quarter time here at Perth Stadium. The West Coast Eagles lead by 9 points. Wherever you are on ABC Radio, Sport Digital and streaming on the ABC Listen app, look for the AFL button. This is Saturday Footy on ABC Sport.
G'day, Patrick Stack here from ABC Sport Daily. If you love sport,
one of the most anticipated first-round matches got to be in Grand Slam history, for good reason. Nadal, 14 titles in the same Grand Slam tournament.
And great conversation,
The worst left back in the history of Year 8 football is how I describe myself.
then you'll love ABC Sport Daily.
One of the problems that cricket has faced in the US is such a big market.
ABC Sport Daily. Get it on the ABC Listen app.
This is ABC Sports coverage of the 2024 AFL season. Every match on the ABC Listen app.
Look for the AFL button.
Kicks high up towards King, but McGovern stood in front. Though King has been infringed, and he'll get the free kick for the Saints. Coming in, here's Max King, and he kicks the goal to start for St Kilda. Was able to work it onto Chesser. He's able to find Gaff, who steps and then snaps and kicks a goal. He saw the opening then, Gaff back in the team. And the Eagles come from just about every part of Perth Stadium to welcome him back to AFL football.
Turns and rolls quickly, kick into the pocket, looking for Darling, who marks over the back. So Darling will go around the corner from the tight angle in the left forward pocket. He bends it around magnificently. Terrific finish from Jack Darling. He gets his first. The Eagles get their second.
The 2024 AFL Premiership season.
On your radio
ABC Sport Digital.
and on the ABC Listen app.
Clint Wilden with you alongside Mitch Turner, our experts, Shane Woden and Chris Waterman. Saturday Footy on ABC Sport. The Eagles up by 9 points over the Saints. What have you made of it, gents?
Well, arm wrestle early, not the greatest game of footy to date. Plenty of turnovers, and that's how West Coast have scored. They've scored 2 goals from their front half turnovers at the moment, where St Kilda giving them the ball back in their front half. They win it, intercept it, go back. Dom Sheed was that one that went in back inside 50 off that one with Matty Flynn's free kick. So, again, play between the arcs a little bit, Muddy. Pretty even game at the moment. Dire affair, not greatest in terms of disposal and clean at the moment. Hopefully the game will open up and we get a bit more speed on the ball.
If St Kilda get the same way they do in the next 5 or 10 minutes they did in that first quarter, it was 11-1, wasn't it?
It was, yep, 11-1.
Now 12-11 inside 50. So West Coast fought back well. I thought St Kilda just went about it the wrong way with Edwards, Barras, McGovern. Why are you going airborne? They're going to go third man up all day. So you just got to make sure we hit up or separate them inside the forward 50 and everyone else up the field knows it. And then if your smalls up the ground and work back towards goal, keep pressure that way. They had enough of the ball, just didn't score.
Didn't score. It'll be a bit of a slugfest like that if you keep bombing in.
Well, it was Witherden had plenty of it. Duggan's got plenty of it. So's Bonner. It's sort of the half-back, mids. It's sort of, you're right, it was played in the middle of the ground. It was like the old schoolyard, No one wanted to kick a goal.
So, yeah, a little bit change angles, shifted a bit more.
Yeah, something different. Both teams.
Some of the key stats from the first quarter, as mentioned by Shane Woden and Chris Waterman. 12-11 inside 50s the way of St Kilda. The hitouts, interestingly enough, Matt Flynn into the side for the Eagles. 10-6 the way of West Coast. The clearances also 10-8 in their favour. The tackle count just 13 each. The kicking efficiency, West Coast Eagles 59%. St Kilda 42. Individuals, Alex Witherden, Liam Duggan, Matt Flynn, all with 8 disposals for the Eagles. For the Saints, Riley Bonner has 7 with a host of players on 6. Interestingly, Jack Steele yet to have a disposal after 1 quarter of footy. St Kilda captain.
0437 774 774 if you'd like to send us a text. Big congratulations to Eagles trainer Marty Davis, who today is working his 150th AFL game. He's wearing the number 5 vest today. Loves the game, epitomises what it is to be a club person. So Marty gets his moment. Text coming in. Good on you, Marty. Well done to whoever sent that to let us know. Paul from Catherine said it was more exciting watching Aussie the Eagle fly around the stadium than West Coast and St Kilda at the moment. A little bit tough, but it was entertaining watching Aussie go rogue early on. Let's get back amongst it from the tap. Reed tried to take it away first time. It'll be the Saints who emerge with it. Still got a hand pass out to Dow and a chance to release the Saints down the commentary wing. Long kick inside the left forward pocket from Wanganeen Miller. No mark taken, and taking it out over the line for a throw-in is Harry Edwards at left half forward for the Saints.
Straight away, it was just a poor kick. That hits him on the chest. Harry Edwards is 2 metres behind. You turn around, you wheel one straight in the goal square.
Spun back in. Going up, Bailey Williams wins it down for the Eagles in the ruck battle. He continues to be there as it came to Yo. Got it to Reed, back to Yo. Gathered beautifully on the bounce. Awkward kick, just scrubs its way along the ground, finds its way to Gaff, hands it off to Sheed, steps inside Dow and releases Yo. The Eagles have worked that really well. The kick's towards Darling, who has almost been held by Wilkie. Darling got a touch on it, spills across the line. It'll be a throw-in. Now right half forward for West Coast. Going back to have another look at the Wanganeen Miller delivery. So it went inside forward 50. You're absolutely right, Muddy. Absolutely just had to hit the player who was going out to get to it in Caminiti, and he should have as well. Marshall won it down, but Bailey Williams will gather from the ruck contest. Hand passes to Yo, immediately tackled. Marshall gets him, takes him to ground. No prior, ball up.
A little confused at some stuff going on up here, but I thought Elliot Yo went to fend off there and got tackled, but maybe today they're not quite as hot on the holding the ball decision as Hill gathered from the restart handball to out of bounds.
One of the crash test dummies is dressed up as Elvis for the WA Freeze, I reckon.
Yeah.
That's
Norm
what's
Smith
going on.
medalist from the Eagles.
Yeah.
So if you're listening in the ground, you'll see him later on. It's part of the big slide they are doing here today, of course.
He's got the bedazzler out, I'll give him that.
He looks good, I'll give him that, but I wouldn't want to run into him on the street as St Kilda take the ball away from the contest through Steele. Started to get involved this quarter. His kick was up towards the King and Barras direction, and Barras took possession and was taken over the boundary by Max King. There's a goal already to his name. It's a key battle today between the two. Barras did a good job on Taylor Walker last week against the Crows in what was an uphill battle. Ball spun back in. Marshall tapped it down to Yo. Was trying to gather in one hand, and that's because he was held by Sinclair in the other. Reed took the handball from Yo to get the ball moving quickly for West Coast. Gave it to Duggan. Handballs it back to Reed. He's tackled almost immediately. Had no prior.
Poor defence by St Kilda's midfield right back here with Harley Reid just accepting that handball. There was no one near him.
Ball tossed back up in the air inside the centre square. Steals over it for the Saints. Did well to get it to Sinclair. Now Bonner. Forward handball to Marshall. Gives it to the run of Sinclair. Was able to dodge past the attempt to McGovern tackle and deliver it to Henry. Marks it right on the paints of 50. Sees something he likes. Over the back. Closer to goal, and it's Wood. Tracking back. The kick favoured him. Chesser couldn't get position, and Wood takes the mark in the right forward pocket.
There's that hit-up kick, Wowie, and wheel around, and you've got the whole back line separated. You get a one-on-one.
Yeah, and that was Mason Wood sliding down from the fat side wing. Don't know how Chesser got caught out there.
So Mason Wood goes around the corner and makes it count. So St Kilda get the first of the second term. They cut the margin back to 3 points. A bit of good ball movement from the Saints results in a goal. 2-5-17 West Coast. They still lead St Kilda 2-2-14. Almost played 4 minutes here in the second term Saturday footy on ABC Sports. Our experts Shane Woden and Chris Waterman.
Well, they don't get out of that cleanly, St Kilda. Les Marshall popped from contest and got forward, which generated that forward handball. Left his opponent still at the coalface.
If you're St Kilda, you're telling Mason Wood you're going to push forward on Chesser all the time, and we're going to look for him. That's a weapon up forward, not just on the wing.
Earlier today, on Saturday footy on ABC Sport, the Hawks by 27 over the Crows. And the restart, Marshall got the telling tap down, but he can't get it away for the Saints. Bailey Williams tapped it back, though, on the deck, gave it to Sheed, sends it inside forward 50. Can't find a target. Warner picks it up, scoops the hand pass to Wood, just beyond defensive 50 for St Kilda. Goes down the line, he wanted Steele, spoiled by Sheed. He did really well. Tapped it down, Chesser, then tackled to ground by Bonner. It'll be a ball up, left half forward for West Coast. Eagles lead on the scoreboard by 3. 5 minutes gone in the second. Marshall again won the tap. Trying to sock it away was Dow, only got as far as Reed. Thumps it into the left forward pocket for the Eagles, and a good mark to Howard. Trying to get there and unable to do so is Jack Williams, and Howard has it for the Saints in the right back pocket. He'll kick towards centre half back where Sinclair marks for St Kilda.
This is better from the Saints, going through the middle of the ground. Sinclair gave it to Hill. Now the run of Wanganeen Millera gets to 55. Thought about passing to a short option. Has one closer to home. Caminiti floating back towards goal. Got behind the Eagles' defence and took the mark. He'll go back 15 metres out, directly in front.
Yeah, kick inside 45. Just brings your halfbacks into play, creates overlap. Great run by Wanganeen Millera. And look, just patience, composure to find Caminiti in there. Great hit up. All at sea there, West Coast.
St Kilda looking for back-to-back goals. For the first time today, Caminiti makes no mistake. He kicks the goal. St Kilda hit the front. 3-2-20 the Saints. 2-5-17 the Eagles. It's a 3-point margin. 6 minutes played in the second. It's Caminiti trudges off to the bench below our broadcast position for a well-earned rest.
I was hoping someone would lead back at the kicker then, but West Coast were all over the place. But I was only just looking at this screen here. If you're St Kilda in the St Kilda coaches box, Bobby, how long are you going to have the way that things could pan out? How long are you going to leave Dan Butler as a sub for? Because he's got speed.
You get him on
at some point early in this game, don't you? So he can cause havoc in this game if it goes the way it's going.
Very good there.
Matt Flynn in the centre circles for West Coast. The reason he was recruited to the Eagles is facing Marshall, who stands, and Flynn got the fingertips to it. Comes down to Ginby, couldn't gather. Reed could, got taken high. And he'll get the free kick. Marshall's arm coming over the top. Reed will be helped up by Ginby. Harley with the blue boots. Shots back. Waits for players to surge forward. Still unsure of where to go. So he'll send it long. Inside the forward 50. Coming out, Wilkie got a fingertip to it. Spill down at the back to Wood. And pass back to Howard, and then to Battle in the right back pocket. Threw it on the boot. Up into the air. Still lands inside the Eagles' forward 50. Hand pass came out the side from Higgins. Ball ricocheting around. Cripps is able to pick it up. Throws it on the boot. Hard up against the boundary. Puts it out of bounds on the full. Free kick to the Saints at right full back. They lead by 3 points. 3-2-20 to 2-5-17. 8 minutes gone in the second. Saturday footy on ABC Sport.
So Howard will be the one to bring the ball back into the field of play from the right back pocket. Eventually just decides to kick it up the wing. Flying from the back, King. Held it for a long time. The umpire said long enough. Paid the mark, Max King, but he's a long way from where the Saints need him to be. Now he kicks further up the field on the wing. Henry and Witherden, the two number 23s, went out, and the umpire blew the whistle. Said there was a hold.
Yeah, there was. Saw it from here. Grab the jumper.
Starting to get involved, Liam Henry. He chips it towards the half-forward. Hunter Clark has the ball 55 from home. Kicks off a step towards the top of the square. Petruccelli flew from the back. Couldn't take the mark. Higgins on hands and knees for the Saints. McGovern's in there for the Eagles. Players crashing in right at the top of the goal square. No one able to break three. The umpire will toss it up. 2 rucks to go at it. Flynn and Marshall. Marshall taps it back into the corridor straight to an Eagle in sheet. He's immediately tackled by Steele, and the ball will be tossed up again just beyond the attacking goal square for the Saints.
Put aloft. One down by Flynn. Straight to Steele. He kicked into the chest of Edwards, who was standing at the top of his defensive goal square. Players will pile on top of this football. There'll be another ball up.
It's good connection in there, wasn't it?
It was stung. No doubt. He did kick it with genuine vigour. Marshall won it down. Comes out the side eventually for Hill, who snaps towards goal. Edwards was back there. Harry Edwards in the goal square. Gave it out to Whifford and kicks the Eagles beyond defensive 50. Petruccelli couldn't mark against Ross. Oh, hand pass to no one in particular. Has to go and clean it up himself. Sliding out, came off his shins. It gets to Cole, now to Gaff for West Coast. They got away with that for a moment. And then the kick long down to the commentary wing is marked by Wilkie. And the Saints can set up again. Their lead is 3 points. 3-2 to 2-5 over the Eagles. 10 minutes gone in the second term.
Wilkie goes short to Howard. Continued his run into the centre square, Wilkie, and got it back via a kick. And now he goes further out to the far side of the ground to Battle. He goes short to Wood. Kicks it up the wing. Had a slip, Membry, and had to contend with the sun. Couldn't take the mark. Was able to gather. Handball it back to Wood. Under pressure now. The Saints. Windhager dropped it as he was tackled. Chester slipped over for the Eagles. Now McGovern. Gave it to Shee. Gathered it. Kicks it up the wing. Wilkie's there again. Sliding. Can't take the mark. He's able to knock the ball out of bounds. Another messy passage of play on the far side of the ground. Results the ball going out of bounds on the wing.
A few weeks ago, Clint, I came here and called a game, Fremantle and Adelaide. It was a horrible game of football. We're not getting much better here today.
It's not a great advertisement for the game so far.
So the boos ring out as Harley Reid again. Looked like he may have been taken high off the stoppage. Umpire said it'll be a ball up. Marshall tapped it down. Clark and Jimby did battle. Sinclair just soccering it away. AC Milan style for St Kilda. Then trying to get the handball back was knocked off it by McGovern. Cole trying to find a teammate in Reid, and the ball ricocheted off Sinclair out of bounds. AS Roma and AC Milan in town last night. 56,000 here. Jack Sinclair was doing his best to channel a bit of Zlatan Ibrahimovic.
I'd rather be Roma. They won 5-2. Massive crowd. The pitch held up okay too, despite the inclement weather during the week. Umpire from the restart has spotted a free kick. And back the way of the Saints. Taken by Marshall. Flynn stands on the mark as the ball's eventually returned on the bounce by his Saints teammates. Marshall in the bright sunshine on the southern wing. Takes a couple of steps. He'll put it into the right forward pocket for St Kilda. It's travelled the pack. Barris going forward. Couldn't mark, or has. Well, he dropped it off the chest and then had to dive forward to scoop it up before it hit the stadium turf. A round of applause. The degree of difficulty was a 9.5. Well done to Tom Barris. Went back to Edwards from his defensive goal square. Kicks towards centre wing commentary side. The Saints have it there. Battle tried to take on a Jones. Tackled him. Lost it. Spilled out. Jinby was able to get it. Now gave it to Hoff. Has the backtrack. Not a great hand pass. Bounced the gap. Hand pass forward to Reid. Webster in front of him. Goes by hand once more. Now the non-controlling umpire, 40 metres away, has spotted a free kick here that will come back to Gaff. The umpire was standing right there. Less than 5 metres away, wasn't able to spot anything. Nonetheless, Gaff's got the free kick. Not sure what for, nonetheless. Here he goes. Gaff will kick towards right half forward. There's a big pack up. Flynn goes twice, couldn't complete the mark. Jones gathered. He's tackled. Spills out once more. Umpire will eventually lock this in.
He's got a free kick.
He has got a free kick. Pushing the back. Going the way of the Saints.
So Marshall will be the recipient. I could have almost sworn I saw the out-of-area umpire signal a hold on Jermaine Jones for the tackle lingering, and the umpire closer disagreed and said there was a push in the back on Rowan Marshall. So it ends up with St Kilda. Bonner kicks it up the wing. Front position was Harry Edwards. Barris over the back. Took another mark. It's some sort of day, Tom Barris.
Yeah, you've got to kick it off the line.
That's exactly right. I'm just thinking that's the last thing you're doing, Wowie.
Barris high up and under towards half forward. Battle from behind. Punched it straight in the path of Steele. He couldn't gather. Now players dive in and will lock the ball up. We've seen a holding the ball decision yet?
Don't think so.
I don't think we have.
Incredible how, by the way, the inside 50s have balanced up. They're now 16-15 to the Saints. They were 11-1 at one stage.
Flynn tapped it down to Yo. Thought he was being held. He played for the free kick. The umpire didn't pay it. Now that'll be a ball up. Still 55 out from the Eagles' goal.
Confirmed? No holding the balls yet.
Well, tight interpretation. We got told during the week. None paid so far. We're about 45 minutes played into this match as Cole is caught this time. Flung it out for the Eagles. Players crashing in again. Still just beyond their attacking 50. Down through a boot in there. Petrocelli lays on top. Now Yo for the Eagles. That looked something like a rugby scrum. Bridget Lacey quickly downstairs.
Dom Sheed's gone down to the rooms. Looked like maybe a nick on the back of his head. He should be fine.
Thrown off again. Gone down by Flynn, but straight to Steele of the Saints. Kicked high up into the air to land in the middle of the ground. Punch came from Barris. Beautifully gathered there by Cole. Hand pass back to Hoff. To Cole again for the Eagles. Kicks around the body. On the bounce, it comes to the wing to Gaff. Hand passing forward to Yo. Continues the hand pass on to Hoff. He'll kick towards full forward. Williams! Bailey Williams was always meant to be a forward. has had to do a ton of ruck work. Now he's up front, and he can go back and have a shot from 25 metres out. He'll start in line with the right hand behind post.
Yeah, unfortunate Wilkie lost his feet.
Yeah.
Effectively unopposed.
That's what it's meant to look like, though.
Oh, yeah.
Bailey Williams forward. Flynn in the ruck. Take your luck when it comes. Yep.
Bailey J. Here he comes. Williams from no more than 25 out kicks the goal for West Coast to give the Eagles back the lead at the 16-minute mark of the second term. They're back to a 3-point advantage. West Coast 3-5-23. The Saints are 3-2-20. Plenty of questions coming in. 0437 774 774. We'll read them out at half-time if you want to make a comment or have your say. Our experts here on ABC Sport on Saturday Footy, Chris Waterman and Shane Wowood.
At least Hoffy put it to a dangerous area. Allow his big boys to run and jump at it.
Just getting a little bit more momentum in the middle of the ground, I think, West Coast. He's getting involved. The young blokes getting involved. They're Steele's trying to find his way in. I just think they're a little bit on top. But where they can get back on top is with their ruckman St Kilda, I think.
Ball back in the middle. Caminiti in the ruck for the Saints. Flynn won it down. It was stolen by Dow, though. St Kilda get the clearing kick towards the wing. Owens took it on the bounce. Sold Wilson into trouble. It ricocheted back to Owens. Now the kick inside the forward 50 for St Kilda. Oh, King did well. Got rid of Barris. Lost his footing. Couldn't take the mark. Now the Eagle, vice captain, gets back onto the ball. Chips it short. As McGovern able to find the target of Duggan. Some of the Eagles leaders getting involved back there. Eagles co-captain still on solo duties without Oscar Allen. Liam Duggan kicks it up the wing. Williams involved again. It was Marek, sorry, for the Eagles. It fell off his hands, came to battle. He kicks it inside the forward 50. Barris again leads out in front of Membry and was able to spoil the ball over the boundary line for a ball inside the Saints attacking forward 50.
Marek and Williams yet to touch it. Two forwards for West Coast.
I was about to say Higgins and Henry need to get involved at ground level for Saints to stay in this game.
Ball spun back in. Caminiti got to it first, but it spilled down to Petruccelli. Hand pass in the direction of Chesser. Couldn't take it cleanly. Got a hand pass back to Flynn. Came off his hands and over the boundary line for a throw-in. Neither sub activated so far. Zane True for West Coast. And Dan Butler for the Saints. Jake Waterman was the late out for the Eagles, which meant Jack Williams got a reprieve from being omitted. And he came straight back into the side. Ball put back into play. Right half forward for St Kilda. Came to Caminiti off Flynn's hands. And Caminiti kicks inside forward 50. Membry tries to mark. At the drop. Beautifully taken by Henry, who bounces it through. Liam Henry, what a class finish. From the right forward pocket, it's high fives all round for the Saints as they're back in front. The fourth lead change of the afternoon. 18 and a half minutes gone in the second. St Kilda 4-2-26. The Eagles are 3-5-23.
This is the guy that's looked dangerous for mine. He was on to Harry Edwards 5 minutes ago. He let up and Harry stayed back looking for the long ball. So he was quite smart by Liam, but you just got to work a bit harder, and so does young Higgins, for them to get a bit of a score on the board here for the Saints.
Good spot, 101. Crummett for small forward, front and centre. Just a surge forward from stoppage. Get it in. St Kilda dropping their skinny winger back at stoppages from forward 50 up to mid-arc to get the spare to allow Wanganeen Malira to sit behind the footy. Opens up behind the stoppage, but gives him the spare to create some overlap behind the footy.
43 games for the Dockers. Knows this ground well. Liam Henry, ball back in the middle. Jimby took it from the contest, gave it to his ruckman in Williams. His kick inside the forward 50, all spilt by Battle. Eventually St Kilda, though, able to gather the loose ball. Bonner's short kick finds Sinclair, still inside defensive 50. Gave it back to the run of Bonner. St Kilda under pressure. The kick beyond defensive 50 was a good one from Windhager, and it finds Higgins. So St Kilda now look to go on the attack. Kick up the wing from Higgins. Wrestling was Witherden and Membry. Witherden got to the front but missed the ball with a fist. Membry, gave it to Dow, who is met solidly by McGovern. Ran into a brick wall and just dumped him into the turf.
Shot him up the river too.
Absolutely. That handball, Membry had to kick that. One handball too many.
Massive tackle from McGovern. It ends in a ball up. From the restart, a free kick is paid to Williams for the Eagles. Yo takes the advantage. Ryan flew in front of the pack, couldn't take the mark, and Wilkie was able to intercept, give it to Wanganeen Millera. His kick towards Windhager, though, misses the target. The Saints turn it over in the middle of the ground. Duggan kicks it, favouring the run of Jack Williams. Wilkie able to get back there, soccers it towards the goal face, and the umpire says it was sufficient pressure. So it'll be a rush behind. St Kilda are 4-2-26. The Eagles are 3-6-24 as they bring the ball back into the play of the Saints.
Duggan's got to hit that kick. Left foot out. Uncontested mark. Misses his target.
No excuse.
Wood has it at left half back. Kicks to a pack at left half forward. Barris gets there. Punches the ball away defensively. The spoil over the boundary line for a throw-in.
I think the corridor is where they got ahead, Wowie, St Kilda, once they get through half back.
Oh, absolutely.
It was just unfortunate the sun got in the eyes then, but when they go through the middle, they look really dangerous.
Voice of dual premiership player Chris Waterman alongside him. Brownlow medalist Shane Woden. Reid gets the ball from the stoppage. Duggan. Then to Gaff. He'll kick the Eagles towards centre half forward. Big pack up. Howard got hands to it. Flipped out the sign from Battle. Came to Wanganeen Millera. Now the Saints are able to clear. From left half back it comes towards the commentary wing. Jimby and Marshall missed it. Reid didn't. Breaks the tackle of Sinclair. Spun around 360. Sent it towards Ryan at right half forward. Pops it over the top to Cripps, who marks 45 metres out, 2 metres in from the boundary in the right forward pocket.
Good play by Reid to shrug the tackle, and it just opened up the game.
Didn't blaze away. Strong in the tackle. Just tests it.
Watching before when Seb Ross actually got him, one of the few players that has been able to do so. Not just today, but throughout his first season. Here comes Cripps for West Coast. Hard up against the boundary. That's a wonderful kick. Straight as an arrow between the big sticks. Never deviated. And West Coast take back the lead. The fifth lead change of this game. They're 4-6-30 to St Kilda 4-2-26. 22 and a half minutes gone in the second term. Saturday footy on ABC Sport. Clint Wilden alongside Mitch Turner. In commentary, our experts Shane Woden and Chris Waterman.
Well, he just got in the way, Ruben Jimby.
Yeah.
In that front of Marshall in that contest. Not sure who got hurt out of that one. Someone come off second best, a little bit of wincing, but just got in the way, created a turnover. West Coast able to go back at it.
What it does tell us is that neither team have got a whole lot of players in form, and neither team is going that well. Although West Coast had a good month, but the back of last week, confidence is shot. West St Kilda not going that well. It's just that type of game.
16 games.
Even the umpires can't get it right.
The umpire wayward bounce will have to go again. 16 games at St Kilda for Jamie Cripps before he came over to the West. He's now a premiership player at the Eagles. The Eagles now win the ball from the stoppage. The young guns, Jimby, gave it to Reid. Kick inside the forward 50. Ryan Hart out in the lead, had Webster for company. And St Kilda defender did very well to put him under enough pressure. The ball off hands over the boundary. The umpire will spin the ball back in. 45 around from the Eagles' goal. Marshall Williams standing very deep. Have to run up to meet the ball. Williams got there first, tapped it to Harley Reid, took the contact from Dow, got caught, threw the ball away. Umpire said he handballed it. Coming through was Jones. He spun, gave it to Cripps for 2 in a minute. He can't. The snap was shallow, and standing last line of defence was Cal Wilkie. Goalkeeper style takes the mark for St Kilda, who trailed the Eagles by 4 points.
He's able to move it into the right back pocket. He found Windhager. The Saints beyond defensive 50 to a 2-on-2 battle at right half back. Colwyn up, won it down. Marek intercepted, stolen away though by Higgins. Saints with another opportunity here. Owens couldn't take it. Cole could. Hand pass into traffic. Bounced away from Steele. Sheed hand pass over the top. Now to Witherden. Got it for the Eagles. Jimby's kick was smothered. It'll ricochet away into the middle of the ground. Reid with a good shove. A clever one that freed up a teammate for West Coast. They're able to get to it. Kick towards left half back. Wilson can't keep it in. Well done out of all of that. It's going to be a throw-in at left half forward. The Eagles lead by 4 points. Had 5-2 clearances in the last 5 minutes. Jones with the kick. It's the player to get it away from the restart. Comes out the back. Onto it quickly is Reid. Gathers at left half forward. Kicks to a packet full forward. Ryan got hands to it. Goes to ground. Wilkie gathers. Quick hand pass away. It comes then to Wood. Now to Webster. Will kick the Saints beyond defensive 50 towards left half back. Getting there first, those half. Stepped or attempted to step away from Higgins, but Higgins was able to stick the tackle and see him over the boundary line for a throw-in. Between wing and right half forward for the Eagles. Commentary side of the ground. West Coast up by 4. 26 gone in the second.
Once again, the ruckman standing nice and deep. Marshall and Matt Flynn this time. Marshall got to the front. Flynn had the more decisive tap. Was in front of Harley Reid. He toe poked it off the ground, or coming out to meet it was Wood. Wood and Reid ricocheting off each other. The ball ended up in the hands of Sinclair. His tackle to be tossed up. 60 out from the Eagles' goal. Marshall did the roving off the contest, was thrown to the ground. The umpire said he didn't dispose of it legally. Harley Reid had him. The Eagles' rising star has the ball.
He's had a good 5 minutes, Harley Reid.
So kicking a bit from home, so he decides to set it up to the top of the square. Williams flies from the back, couldn't mark. Battle did the roving for St Kilda, was able to get a handball to Clark. His handball missed Owens. Now players diving in, steal for the Saints. Coughed it up. Owens managed to get a possession. It was smothered. Ricochet to Wanganeen Millera. Oh, look at the pace. Runs outside defensive 50. Takes a bounce. Kicks a tumbling ball towards half forward. Barris got his hands to it. Couldn't take the mark. Memory was caught. Handballed it away. Now Yo for the Eagles. Got it to McGovern. Oh, turned it straight back over. The Saints onto it. Henry finds Higgins with a handball. Jack Higgins left foot kick on goal. Was it Suffolk-Thames? He pulled it away to the right. It's a minor score. Players sucking in the big ones after that. 4-3-27. The Saints, 4-6-30. The Eagles. Clint Wheeldon.
Saints had a chance.
Had time, didn't he?
Oh, it was poor by Higgins.
Needed to convert. It's West Coast kick the on-defensive 50, and they turn it over again. And Duggan, this is the big fella in Marshall. Kicks inside forward 50 and can't find a teammate. Sliding into the sunshine in the right back pocket was Cole to take the mark. Has to shield his eyes from the sun. He'll go short to Witherden. It's not a mark. He has to quickly move it back. Oh, Steele got him. Tackled him, and that's going to be a free kick for holding the ball. Witherden says, what's going on? But
didn't handball it, did he?
No, he did not. So he just took way too long, got wrapped up. The ball jarred free in the tackle. Incorrect disposal, holding the ball.
Can't argue with it.
Nope. We wondered when the first call would come. Here it is.
Goodbye, Jack Steele. Just staying in the moment, in the game. Good pressure.
Two-time best and fairest, two-time All-Australian. He's the skipper for the Saints from the left forward pocket. We're right behind the kick. It's starting out to the right. It hits the right-hand goal post. A minor score when a goal would have put them in front. The Saints are 4-4-28. The Eagles are 4-6-30. West Coast by 2. 29 gone in the second term. Saturday footy on ABC Sport.
Just watching Tom Barris. He's moving very slowly the last 2 minutes for the Eagles. Doesn't really want to be involved with the play. His teammate McGovern is the one, though, who will restart it from defensive 50. Kicked up to the wing. Bailey Williams got a big push out in front. Umpire said play on. Wilkie was trying to trap the ball at ground level. Did so between his legs, but the boundary line beat him as the umpires come in for a conference right on the boundary line. I'm not sure.
That's not right. No. Out the full.
That's... I'm pretty confident saying that it was probably the wrong decision. It looked like Callum Wilkie slid the ball over the boundary line right below us. It ends up in an Eagles free kick. Witherden, the recipient, kicked up towards Darling, knocked away from him. Wood did the roving, handballed it, tried to handball it back into play. Sheed intercepted it, and his handball went wayward out of bounds. Bridget Lacey downstairs.
Yeah, you mentioned Tom Barras. The doctor did just run out to him and he sent him off pretty quickly, even though he doesn't look super comfortable. He's obviously okay enough to stay out there.
So that previous decision, Wilkie had the ball trapped between his heels as he slid over the line, and they've ruled that out of bounds on the floor. It's touched him on the feet on the way through. That's harsh. So here's Sheed. in the restart. Kicks towards right half forward. Slapped by Wood. Had some support from Battle over the line for a boundary throw-in.
I guess if it hits you, if it's touching your boot and not the ground or any other part of the body and it goes out of bounds, it technically is, I guess. I've never seen it, but it's out on the full, I guess.
It's always a new first, isn't there? Never seen that before. Throwing in, Flynn got the tap. Slapped away by the Saints, but only as far as she. On to Gaff. Hand pass back to Reid. Oh, Reid straight at Sinclair. Still was able to survive that and get a hand pass out to Duggan. Hand passes back into traffic. Sinclair doing the defending for the Saints. Wraps up Gaff. He's on the deck. Ball up again. Marshall takes clean possession. Stolen away from him by Reid. Sinclair tackles him to ground. It's been kept in play. So that'll be a ball up.
17 touches, Harley Reid leads all comers on the ground.
Don't overhype him, but he's amazing for a first-year player. Flynn taps it down. He goes out after it, can't get it before it takes a right-hand turn, the Sherrin, and tumbles across for another throw-in. Sinclair was right there. The two number 9s stand next to each other, Steele and Reid. And Harley just gives his teammates a little thumbs up for whatever message has been relayed to him. Flynn will do the ruck work against Marshall. All spun back in. Flynn gets the tap down, goes to Sinclair. Hurried kick though, straight to Sheed, puts it into the right forward pocket. Ryan's onto it first for the Eagles, hands it off to Cripps. They both went to Ryan, allows Cripps an opportunity from hard up against the pocket to kick a ripper. Eagles fans show sheer delight. That's a tremendous goal. Everybody went to Liam Ryan, and as he was able to get the hand pass out, it freed up Cripps, and that is some finish from hard up against the boundary. West Coast the 5-6-36, St Kilda 4-4-28. That is just class. He's got his second, Jamie Cripps.
Very good finisher, isn't he? Oh, the set shot, snap, on the run. Beautiful shot on goal. I didn't mind that from Dommy Sheed. Didn't smash it in deep. Kept it low in front of Ryan. Clean.
Well, there's not long to go till half time, but this is not going to be a high-scoring game, so it's an important goal.
Eagles back out to an 8-point margin. Ball back in the middle. Seconds ticking down. Still time for another score, and it'll be a free kick to West Coast. Harley Reid looked to take the advantage. Dom Sheed was taken high, so has the ball in the middle of the ground. Eagles will get another chance late. Sheed kicks it inside the forward 50. Darling flew off hands. Webster at the back. Couldn't trap it. Ryan was onto it. Socking it off the ground. And the Eagles get a couple of red time goals. This one off the boot of Liam Ryan. Pounced on the loose ball. St Kilda defenders under pressure. And he made them pay. Out to a 14-point margin. West Coast 6-6-42. 4-4-28 are the Saints. And there are only 3 seconds left before the halftime break. Ross Lyon is probably not a happy man as he heads down towards the rooms. If you're a St Kilda player, you're hoping he's already started his trip down the elevator.
Well, Howard's come in and spoiled it over the back. It just gives your small forwards run onto it.
2 in a minute. You're 2 points down, and you go in 14 points down with a minute to go at half time.
So kick the last 3 now, the Eagles.
But Jimmy Webster hasn't had a great start to this game. There's 3 possessions, but he's got to stay on his feet there.
And that is half-time immediately after the restart. West Coast go into the break with what is the biggest lead of the game, 14 points after those 3 unanswered goals and 2 in about 60 seconds just before the siren to announce the major break. West Coast 6-6-42, St Kilda 4-4-28. The goal kickers for the Eagles, Jamie Cripps has 2, and singles to Liam Ryan, Andrew Gaff, Jack Darling and Bailey J. Williams. While for the Saints, they're 4 goals, all individual goal kickers, Max King, Liam Henry, Mason Wood and Anthony Caminiti. 6-6-42 West Coast, 4-3-27 St Kilda. Remembering the Eagles had to make a late change with a shoulder problem to Jake Waterman. He was the late out announced just before the game. Coming into the side, originally being dropped, getting a reprieve was Williams of the Jack variety. They'd already lost Tim Kelly late yesterday to a hip or glute problem. And the sub is Zane True coming into the side for that. The Saints, no late changes for them. Dan Butler is their sub, but they'll go to the break trailing by, as I said, 14 points. What have you made of things? Our experts, Saturday footy on ABC Sport this afternoon. Dual premiership player Chris Waterman, Brownlow medalist Shane Woden.
I'm not sure what one move can do here, Wowie, but I'm thinking about the subs coming into this game a bit earlier. I'm not sure Jermaine Jones is offering much up forward for West Coast. So is it worth throwing True? But I certainly can see Dan Butler making a difference in this game with his speed. And it's one of Caminiti or Owens that I think, or maybe even Membry, the three of them. You got King, so one of those three comes out, you get another small in there for speed. So King can do a bit of ruck up forward. One of the other guys can ruck and give Marshall a bit of a cop out. But I think I'd be pulling that trigger real quick if I'm St Kilda.
Not sitting on it late.
No, because this game could get it. We just saw two quick ones. They should be. They're going in 14 points down. They'd be kicking themselves. But they're not out of it by a long way. They can change it pretty quick because West Coast. You'd think this game, we would come here, thought we would all get wet walking from the car to the ground. You'd think it was in pouring rain, this game, but it's in perfect conditions.
Perfect conditions. Bit of a supply thing for me, again, too, in that quarter for St Kilda. I think West Coast got on top around the footy, +7 in clearance, starting to work it from stoppage, get ahead of it from stoppage too with less numbers, because initially St Kilda want the spare, so they were really prepared to drop their winger back, get the spare. West Coast weren't prepared to give up with it, so they're happy to play 7 behind the ball, opens up their front half, allows their forwards a little bit more room, and their mids are starting to get on top of it now. Harley's been important for him. I think that's 7 clearances already. Not huge with score involvements, but he's winning the ball at the coalface.
Well, him and Dom got going, and the funny thing is Battle and Bonner are the highest possession getters for St Kilda, who are sitting on the half-back flank trying to repel all the time. Sinclair got a little bit in the game, and Mason Wood's the winger who's trying to go both ends. He probably cuts back in off the wing as the 7th defender, but he's trying to push forward and get a goal, which he did get one.
St Kilda's midfield's an issue.
Yeah.
A real issue.
One pace, didn't it?
Yeah, but they got belted up last week by Melbourne, and we know how good their midfield group is too. But again here today, you see no fight. No one really starting to rip this game open or want to get it. So Steele 8, Clark 8, Windhager 6. Get Mitchy Owens in there. Get him going a little bit more.
Get Henry in there. Throw Brad Hill in there. I mean, I know they're outside players, but let them go, because if they can get their hands on the ball, their speed out of contest is so important to them going forward.
Yeah, and that's where they've been really good today, St Kilda, when they get the ball from inside to out and give it to their runners, who can then use it and get it going forward and give their forwards a real chance, one out and with a bit of speed on the footy. But right now, when it's going slow and long in, it's just playing to West Coast, hands down back.
And West Coast are tall down back, and we discussed this. If they can get some really good ball movement through the middle, and the 2 or 3 times they've done it, they've scored. They just haven't got the players to get it in and out.
Before you depart, a couple of questions coming through on 0437 774 774. This is big calls, but people ask these questions all the time. This is from Harry, who's listening in Tasmania. Loving the call, guys. Do you think Ross Lyon would be nervous about his job if the Saints lose today?
Well, he's still on contract, isn't he?
He is for another year.
Yeah,
I think he's fine myself.
Fine, yeah.
It's not what he would want, nor the Saints.
No, not at all.
But he's not going anywhere for this year.
No, I wouldn't have thought so either.
The argument is, did they improve sharply last year to ahead of where they probably should have been? That can happen to teams who weren't expecting the draw they got throughout the year, and other teams falling away. Other teams have improved, but St Kilda have fallen away this year. I wouldn't worry them too much. They've got to spread their list out. That's what they have to do.
The Eagles have 2 winnable games, says Eric, who's polishing the sheep truck after his trip to Perth yesterday. Says, g'day, gang. If they win those, it makes it 5 wins for the season for West Coast. In your opinion, is that a pass mark? That's Eric's question to you.
I'd like a couple more, but yeah, I think what they don't want is these 100-point smackings they're getting after you beat a top 4 team and then get smacked by Adelaide on the road. They've got to stop those ones. But 5 or 6 wins, I think they'd want a couple more.
If they win these 2, that's 5 at the halfway mark.
That's right.
That's a pass mark.
That's a pass mark. Yeah, I agree with you as well. That just you wanted a more even keel, and I think Adam Simpson said it perfectly in the press conference that he thought that those games were behind them.
Yes.
They can't afford to get belted like that. They didn't even show up last week.
That was a mulligan last week, and every team will have it. And as good as they are, Swans have had one. They lost to Richmond early in the year. We forget about that. Geelong have dropped four in the trot. Everyone has that mulligan or even two. West Coast have had 2 years of it. They now have had this one this year. They're showing good signs. That is, 5 at halfway mark is pretty better than 4, 3, 2 and 1.
Chris Waterman, Shane Woden, our experts. I'll answer this one because I did the stats when it came through. Who has the better coaching record, win-loss-wise, Ross Lyon or Adam Simpson? I can tell you that it is Ross Lyon, 56.03%. He's won 188 of 340. Adam Simpson's coaching record, for those interested, 51.69, 122 wins from 237 games. So to answer that question along those lines. And one last one. Here you go. How do you see Jack Darling's career going after this season? Chris? What do you reckon?
I think he goes again.
Yeah? Yep.
I think he goes around. I mean, young Marriage is only just coming in. We talked about Jack Williams. He's only a baby, Jack.
They need some bodies around him.
He's only 31, Jack Darling.
Yeah,
they've just
fine.
Obviously, they think that it may be sooner than later because they've just used that tool in the mid-season draft from Collingwood. So you've still got Jake, you've still got Oscar, you've still got Marriage. You can't have enough forwards to kick your goals. You need to have options throughout the year. Yeah. And Oscar hasn't been one for a while, unfortunately, but young Marich is still learning. He's got to do his time, and now the new bloke's got to come in and say, Jack's always a big body.
He is. He doesn't mind occasionally putting it about, and he's got his name on the goal kickers list today, Jack Darling. 523 goals now for him. So let's pause. The Eagles lead by 14 points here at halftime. 6-6-42 to the Saints, 4-4-28. Let's take the latest from the ABC Newsroom.
Hello, this is ABC News with David Rowlands. First to some breaking news, and police say a woman is believed to be trapped under rubble after a home was destroyed by a gas explosion in Sydney's west earlier this afternoon. Officers say they believe the woman is alive, with tapping noises heard in an area of the collapsed home, which is at Wayland. Emergency services are trying to find her, and so they'll work throughout the night if necessary. 2 other women were rescued from inside the building during a frantic search and rescue effort by rescue crews. The explosion, which occurred around 1 o'clock, also damaged some neighbouring properties. Perth Airport says it will conduct a proper review into the refuelling issue that disrupted flights to and from Perth earlier today. 59 domestic and international flights were cancelled due to a loss of pressure in the airport's refuelling system. CEO of Perth Airport, Jason Waters, says the issue has now been resolved and the airport is working through its backlog of affected flights. He says the airport will review the issue next week in order to prevent future disruptions.
We're apologetic and sympathetic for impacted passengers, and we're going to do everything we can now to get things back to normal and make sure next week we properly review the situation so it doesn't happen again.
The Victorian opposition says it shouldn't have taken a 4-year Freedom of Information battle for the details of about 100 COVID-19 briefings to be released. The ABC understands more than 100 briefs could be released following the FOI pursuit by Liberal MP David Davis. The state's health department has fought to keep the details of its briefings secret, but this week the Victorian Civil and Administrative Tribunal had ordered it to process the information requests. Opposition leader John Pasuto says Victorians have a right to know the details.
It shouldn't have come to this to actually force the government to release this information. The government should have been willing, in the interests of transparency and accountability, simply to advise the Victorian people of the basis of decisions that actually had profound impacts on people's lives and their rights.
The government has been contacted for comments. Defence Minister Richard Marles has called out China for recent acts of aggression, saying it needs to maintain the global rules-based order. In a speech to a security forum in Singapore, Mr Marles argued that a stable and sustainable regional order will be impossible without China taking a leading role. He spoke of China's recent confrontations with Australian naval forces, saying close attention needs to be given to the signals that China's strategic behaviour sends.
A stable and sustainable regional order won't be possible unless all countries, but especially big ones, pursue their strategic objectives in a manner that respects the sovereign rights of our neighbours and the obligations imposed by international law.
US President Joe Biden has called on Israel and Hamas to accept a three-phase plan that would lead to a ceasefire in Gaza. He says the proposals would initially involve a 6-week pause in the fighting, the release of Israeli hostages in exchange for Palestinian prisoners, and Israel's withdrawal from populated areas of Gaza. Israel says the war won't end until all of its goals are achieved, but confirmed that negotiators have been authorised to present a truce deal. President Biden says Hamas now needs to act.
Hamas says it wants a ceasefire. This deal is an opportunity to prove whether they really mean it. For months, people all over the world have called for ceasefire. Now it's time to raise your voices and demand that Hamas come to the table, agrees to this deal, and end this war that they began.
Former US President Donald Trump has confirmed he'll appeal against his criminal conviction a day after he was found guilty of falsifying business records. The BBC's Tom Bateman has more on this story.
Donald Trump stood in the gold-tiled atrium of Trump Tower and in front of American flags assailed the US legal system. He sought to present his conviction and the entire case against him as political persecution, led by the Biden administration, saying that Americans were now living in a fascist state. And he continues to rail against the outcome, despite his guilty verdicts being delivered by a jury of 12 ordinary men and women who were screened by his own defense as well as the prosecution, as is routine for any bias or prejudicial views.
Voting has begun in India in the last round of a 6-week-long national election. If Prime Minister Narendra Modi wins, he'll be only the second Indian leader to retain power for a third term. The 7th round of voting in 57 constituencies across 7 states and 1 union territory will complete polling for all 543 seats in the powerful lower house of parliament. Nearly 970 million voters, more than 10% of the world's population, were eligible to elect a new parliament for 5 years.
Time to steady and pull the trigger!
Have you heard the latest AFL podcast from the ABC? Join myself, Catherine Murphy, and AFL legend Paul Roos as we discuss all the big storylines. Feed your footy obsession or just learn more about the game as we bring you all the latest news and analysis. Find the ABC AFL Daily Podcast on the ABC Listen app.
This is ABC Sports coverage of the 2024 AFL season. Every match on the ABC Listen app.
Look for the AFL button.
Of Wangani Millera gets to 55, thought about passing to a short option, has one closer to home. Caminiti floating back towards goal. St Kilda looking for back-to-back goals for the first time today. Caminiti makes no mistake.
Continues the hand pass onto Hoff. He'll kick towards full forward. Bailey Williams was always meant to be a forward. Williams from no more than 25 out kicks the goal for West Coast to give the Eagles back the lead at the 16-minute mark of the second term. Caminiti kicks inside forward 50. Memory tries to mark at the drop. Beautifully taken by Henry, who bounces it through. Liam Henry, what a class finish. From the right forward pocket, it's high fives all round for the Saints as they're back in front. Jimmy and Marshall missed it. Reed didn't. Breaks the tackle. Sinclair spun around 360. Sent it towards Ryan at right half forward. Pops it over the top to Cripps. Here comes Cripps for West Coast. Hard up against the boundary. That's a wonderful kick. Straight as an arrow between the big sticks. Never deviated. Ryan's onto it first for the Eagles, hands it off to Cripps. They both went to Ryan, allows Cripps an opportunity from hard up against the pocket to kick a ripper.
Kicks it inside the forward 50. Darling flew off hands. Webster at the back, couldn't trap it. Ryan was onto it. Socket off the ground. And the Eagles get a couple of red time goals. This one off the boot of Liam Ryan.
The 2024 AFL Premiership season.
On your radio.
ABC Sport Digital.
And on the ABC Listen app.
Clint Wilden with you alongside Mitch Turner, Shane Woden and Chris Waterman, your experts here. Saturday footy on ABC Sport. The Eagles against the Saints, and West Coast lead by 14 points at the break. 6-6-42 to the Saints, 4-4-28. We'll run through a few more of your texts in just a moment. 0437 774 774. That's the number if you'd like to ask us a question or to make a point. Love to hear from you wherever you happen to be. I did want to just touch on again the match review officer that handed down his findings earlier today from the Bulldogs and Collingwood game. 2 players facing suspension. Sam Darcy has been offered a 2-match ban for his rough conduct on Braden Maynard, while Riley West has been offered a 1-match ban for rough conduct on Jeremy Howe. If you were wondering about the little striking backhander from Taylor Duray to Nick Dacos in the first quarter, that's been regarded as careless, low and high, so it's a financial sanction for striking, and striking 2 for Josh Dacos against Lachlan McNeil. That comes as a fixed financial sanction as well. So the Bulldogs have got to make a decision whether they accept or appeal the 2-match ban for Sam Darcy or the 1-match ban for Riley West. Mitch Turner's got all the numbers in front of him. The one that matters most, the scoreboard says 6-6-42 West Coast, 4-4-28 St Kilda. What else have you got, Mitch?
We'll start with some of the team numbers. The Eagles already out on the ground warming up. St Kilda, still no sign of them. Maybe Ross Lyons holding them in the rooms for a little bit longer after a couple of late goals in that second term. Some of the team's stats, the disposals. The Eagles 193, St Kilda 164. They still lead the way in terms of using the ball. The kicking efficiency, West Coast 66%, St Kilda 54%. By foot contested possessions, Eagles 71, St Kilda 67. The tackle count 38-31 the way of St Kilda. The hit-outs, Matthew Flynn making a big difference to West Coast clearly, 28-17 in favour of the Eagles. The clearance count 25-18 also favouring West Coast. The inside 50 count 25-23 to the Eagles after St Kilda dominated that stat early on in the game. Individually, Harley Reid leads all disposal getters on the ground. He's had 17 touches to go with 6 tackles and 7 clearances as well. Dom Sheed has 16, Duggan and Yeo 15 apiece. For the Saints, Josh Battle has 14 disposals, Riley Bonner with 12, Mason Wood, Jack Sinclair and Nasiah Wanganeen Millera have 11 apiece. They're the key individual and team stats. As Cliff Wheeldon says, it's a 14-point margin away of the Eagles.
Earlier today, Hawthorn by 27 points against the Crows, 16-11, 107 to Adelaide, 12-8-80. Both teams are back out on the ground. A couple of texts to go through. Hi, guys. We're going to watch the Darwin Triple Crown. Who will win? Ford, Mustang, Chevy, Camaro? Please, says Harry. I don't have an answer for these questions.
It's gone over my head.
So, yeah. I just thought I'd read it out because it was entertaining. No idea. Not my line of thinking. Nick Dacos is the best free faker in the business, says Joseph of Essendon. That's harsh. Taylor Duray hardly touched him. He did still touch him, though. Don't think it was worth a suspension, but did worth a fine. I'm sure Ross Lyon would trade having a superior win-loss ratio to Adam Simpson for the one thing that Simpson has got over him, which is a premiership, says another one of our correspondents. And a few more of you unhappy about the Saints at the moment. Brett Ratton won of best and fairest in a premiership year with the Blues. He knows how to win. Ross Lyon hasn't. They've gone backwards and he needs to be moved on. Not sure that's going to happen straight away. They did potentially overachieve last year and they do have some problems this year, the Saints, but there will be pressure on Ross Lyon if they can't improve. Pete and Cindy enjoying the call. They're stuck in Streaky Bay. Go West Coast. Hope everything's all right, Pete and Cindy, if you're stuck there. A few more people all fired up. Jack says St Kilda must bring on Dan Butters and they must do it now. Jack, we understand a few people have been calling for that as well to add a little bit to them. Go the Sainers, says Anjay. Let's get this third term underway. The Eagles and the Saints, West Coast with a 14-point lead. Here's Mitch Turner.
Ball hits the deck in the middle of the ground. Bailey Williams v Marshall. Neither one a clear tap. Jack Steele came through for the Saints. Got the kick inside the forward 50. It was on the head of Jack Higgins deep in attack. And Brady Hoff was there to punch the ball out of bounds. A good battle between those two tonight. Brady Hoff's having a terrific season for the Eagles. Has shut down some of the best small forwards in the game. And Jack Higgins is always electrifying in attack. The ball spun back in, went over the back of the pack. Clark came through, couldn't get a clean touch. Higgins, he was dispossessed as well. Ball bobbling around in St Kilda's forward line. The Eagles eventually get it out through Jinby to Duggan. tumbling ball beyond defensive 50, coming through Clark. He tried to break the tackle and he dropped the ball. The physical Eagles side today, Jamie Cripps takes the free kick. He kicks a dangerous ball, but a good one into the corridor. Cole wants to keep the ball moving. Danced around the man on the mark, went wide to the far wing. Hoff on the end of it. Kicks up looking for a forward target. Marek, it hit his hands. He couldn't take possession initially. Eventually got it to Jermaine Jones. Now spins onto his left boot. Kicks it inside the attacking 50. Bailey Williams rose high. Couldn't take the mark, but he lays the tackle on Jimmy Webster. It'll be a ball up inside the Eagles attacking 50.
But up into the sky, Marshall was there, got a kick away, but straight into Ryan. Might have been infringed by Hager. Umpires say play on. Sinclair gathers for the Saints. Kicks towards the outer wing. Defensive mark to Barris. Up against Max King. Put your teeth in, Clint. Short pass comes to Duggan. Marks for the Eagles just shy of the logo. On the southern side of Perth Stadium. With the left, he'll put it back inside forward 50. Is that a little nudge? It was, but it's not being paid, and that's going to be a mark here to Edwards. I thought he maybe shoved his opponent out from underneath the football, but they've let it go. And a chance now for Williams, I beg your pardon, to go back and have a shot. And what will be his first disposal of the afternoon. Is there anything in this little push in the back?
No.
No problems?
I'm happy with that. It's just sort of lent on him.
So here comes Jack Williams looking for his first disposal of the game. And it's a behind. Missing to the right-hand side. Minor score. Coming back into the side with the injury is Jake Waterman. 6-7-43 the Eagles, 4-4-28 the Saints, 2:42 gone in the third. It was Marshall who got moved. That little contest, the Saints with the kicking duties through Sinclair.
Sinclair goes wide to left half back, found Wilkie. Thought about giving the handball to Wangadeen Miller, instead kicked it up the wing himself. Cole got in front of Wilson, then Wilson dived back onto the ball, was tackled immediately. Cole, he was dispossessed, ball bobbling around again, just ricocheting off bodies on the wing. Eventually Henry was able to take clean possession, got it to Hill, sliced through the traffic for the Saints, kicks inside the forward 50. McGovern went down, Owens stayed up at the back, got the handball over to King. He handballs over the top to Seb Ross. Unmarked in the goal square, and the Saints get the first of the second half. Jack Williams misses at one end. The Saints go end to end. Seb Ross gets himself on the score sheet, his third goal of the season. St Kilda closed the gap to 9 points. 5-4-34 the Saints, 6-7-43 the Eagles. Mitch Turner here on ABC Sport alongside Clint Wheeldon. Bridget Lacey is downstairs. Up in the box, Shane Woden and Chris Waterman.
I'll put that down to Wanganeen Malera here in defensive 50. Just his work rate to try and just offer something for his kicker. Just created a bit of confusion for West Coast defenders, forwards in that press down there, and able to get out freely and really unopposed all the way down.
Winning the contest on the wing, it was probably remiss of us not to mention Hoff, Duggan and Cole at half time, the job they've done on Henry, Higgins and the like. They're just not getting into the game.
Marshall won the tap down to Clark, set upon immediately by Yo in the innermost of the centre circles. We'll be balling this up.
Looks like Windhager's gone to Harley Reid this third quarter.
Throwing it off for the restart. Both rucks had a touch. Reid going through, was tackled by Windhager. The moment he touched it, taken to ground, ball up again. Just forward to the centre circles for the Saints.
How do you tell this young bloke that now go and block for someone else?
Yeah.
He's 19, he's like a bull.
Just pushes Windhager over after the restart and dives on the football. Had a little push and shove as well. A number of Saints just a second ago. Harley Reid was pointing as if someone had tried to rip the headband off him.
He almost tackled Windhager off the ball. I can't believe it wasn't a free kick.
Ali Williams tapped it down, went through the legs of Reid, picked up by Ross, tackled by Jinby. Yo has taken a Saint high in amongst all of that. And Seb Ross goes in to push Reid out of the way. It was Windhager taken high. He'll get the free kick.
He's a strong boy too, Windhager. He won't back down.
He'll take the free kick from just behind the centre circles. Kicks inside the forward 50. Jinby, good mark, front position, went in front of Ross and was able to cradle it into his chest. Still the Eagles lead by 9 points, 6 gone in the third.
It's getting a bit physical out there from both sides. Tempers starting to flare a little bit. Edwards for the Eagles rolls out of defence. Was able to hit Jermaine Jones. Turns inboard with a kick. Gave it to Reid. Reid faked the handball back to Jones. Instead rolled to his right. Kicked it further up the wing and found the hands of Chesser. Campbell Chesser just once again slowing it down a little bit. St Kilda trying to get numbers back. Now kicks towards Darling at half forward. The kick was over his head. Wilkie read it best and was able to take the intercept mark for the Saints. Wilkie's short kick wasn't quite enough to get to Webster. He did well to gather on the half volley. Kicks it up the wing. King took it on the bounce. Immediately tackled by Harry Edwards, and the umpire said it was not sufficient prior opportunity as he was taken to the ground. The ball will be tossed back up in the air on the wing. Marshall tapped it down to a teammate in Steele. Managed to get the kick free towards Hill for the Saints. Gave it back to the ruckman in Marshall. High up and under kick towards half forward. King tried to tap it forward, then had to rove his own ball. Coming through the pack, Henry just inside the forward 50. Short kick. Caminiti couldn't take the mark. Then was tackled by Cole. Managed to get a handball free. Players diving in. Barrister first. Mitch Owens has him. It'll be a ball up inside the Saints attacking 50.
Eagles by 9. 7 minutes gone in the third. Ball put up into the air. Marshall took clean possession. Got a hand pass out to Henry. Breaks the tackle. Snaps on goal. Misses. Wasn't far away though. He is an excitement machine, as we know from watching him over a number of years with Fremantle and now St Kilda. With a minor score, 5-5-35 to 6-7-43. Eagles still in front, 8 gone in the third.
Eagles bring the ball back into play by a remark to Jermaine Jones at half-back, and he goes short, about 20 metres further in front of him to Brady Hoff. And between half-back and centre wing for the Eagles, an 8-point lead. Hoff kicks it up the wing, flying from the side. Battle, trying to get a fist on it, managed to get enough amongst the crashing bodies and knock it out of bounds for a ball in right in front of the West Coast interchange as players come on and off the ground for both sides. Andrew Gaff, one of those, back into the side. Game 277 today, moves into outright fourth on the Eagles all-time list. Goes past Glenn Jakovic. They were tied for a long time. Ball bobbling around on the wing. Jinby eventually got clean possession, gave it to Gaff off the hands. His tumbling kick up the line was looking for Cripps. It's a bit of a shank and it goes out of bounds. Spent a long time tied on 276, Andrew Gaff and Glenn Jakovic. Only 3 Eagles in front of Andrew Gaff. Jack Darling out there today. Game 289. Dean Cox on 290 and Shannon Hearn beyond the 300 mark. Ball tossed back into play. Marshall tapped it into space. Gaff gathered it, was immediately tackled by Dow. Body's laying right on the boundary line. It'll be a ball up. 9 minutes played, third term. The Eagles still lead by 8 points.
Earlier today, the Hawks by 27 over the Crows as Marshall tried to get clean possession, was tackled by Flint, was able to work it out to Windhager, who kicks it out of bounds on the full. Free kick to West Coast, just shy of the interchange gates. On the northern wing, where we broadcast our games from here at Perth Stadium. Magnificent afternoon, slight breeze blowing across the ground. At the moment, not a cloud in the sky, though rain certainly predicted a little bit later on today. At 24 degrees as Gaff kicks toward Pack at left half forward. Offhand spills out beautifully for Cripps, who then kicks straight into Sinclair. Ricocheted up into the air. Dow was able to emerge with it. Came out again to Sinclair. Kicks down the commentary wing. No mark taken. Taken to ground there was Gaff, and he'll get the free kick. Was held without it by Steele. Saints thought they were able to bring it away, and that's the reason for the extra cheer. Dangerous kick. Wood got a hand on it, spilled to Dow for the Saints. Hand pass to Wilkie, hand pass to Wood. Kicks St Kilda towards centre half forward. Barris going back, couldn't mark, collided with his own teammate. Allows King to share it with Henry. Back to King, can run into an open goal. And puts it through for St Kilda. He's got his seconds. It was all a bit lemony snickets in defence for the Eagles. There was a series of unfortunate events and allows St Kilda to stroll in and bring them within 2 points of the Eagles. 10 minutes gone in the third. Saints move to be 6-5-41. The Eagles are 6-7-43. This is Saturday footy on ABC Sport.
I didn't mind the option by Sheed. I thought it was there. It's on. Just didn't have enough height on the kick. Mason Wood was able to get his hand on it, force a turnover, and then off to the races, the Saints.
I just think they've got momentum a little bit here. With 13 to go in the third, I reckon it's time to pull that trigger. I'll be bringing Butler into this game in the next 5 minutes.
Lemony Snicket.
I think Ross on the wing's the one that's probably not doing enough or getting into it.
Ball back in the middle. I like that Lemony Snicket call. Jimby pulled off it for the Eagles. Dow grabbed it for St Kilda. Handballed the ball forward. There are a few whistles coming from potentially the out of area non-officiating umpire. Eventually it comes back to Dow. So he'll win the free kick for the Saints in the middle of the ground. Paddy Dow kicks it inside the forward 50. Barris flew high. Couldn't take it. Caminiti tried to snap it out of the pack. The ball was smothered. Barris ends up with it for West Coast. Hoff tries to get a clearing kick and Hill. Beautiful pressure, diving across, makes the smother and knocks the ball out of bounds to lock it inside St Kilda's attacking 50.
Hey, work rate by Hill. He was looking for a short possession here off Paddy Dow at the centre bounce. Now he finds himself, work rate inside 50, get that smother.
Spun back in. Both rucks had a touch. Spills down to Owens. He'll kick around the body to full forward. But bounced away at Barris. Last man back defensively. He'll look to chip it short. Gaff. The ball coming over his left shoulder, was able to mark. Just inside the left back pocket. He'll trot back to stand alongside the boundary line. Now gets told to move it on. Kicks towards the commentary wing. Pack of four up. Up from the side. Good mark, Ryan Marrick. Game 20 today for the Eagles. He'll kick towards Reid, who marks against Webster. Could have played on. Ryan wanted it quickly towards left half forward. That's ignored. There's players calling for it in the middle of the ground. Reid kicks inside forward 50. Ryan up against Webster. Ryan brings it to ground for the Eagles. It's spilled to Cripps. Harassed by Hill. Got a hand pass over the shoulder. Darling immediately tackled. Webster one way. Wilkie the other. Ball up inside the left forward pocket for the Eagles, who lead by 2. 13 gone in the third.
Ball back in the air. Flynn trying to bustle through. Did his own roving. Coughed the ball up though to Clark for the Saints. He was tucked up against the boundary line. Got a clearing ball to the wing. St Kilda do well initially to work it through hands. Dow ran into trouble. Still managed to get it to Wood. A dangerous but good kick into the middle of the ground. Membry has the run of Bonner coming past on his left side. King's got a 2-on-1 inside attacking 50. Has to beat Barris. Can't. Threw the ball away in the tackle. McGovern's there to support for the Eagles. Composed. Goes short. Was able to find Liam Duggan in the middle of the 50. Had to compete with 2 Max King. Was unable to beat 2 very talented defenders from the Eagles. The kick comes out to the wing. Off hands. Reading it well. It was Hoff for the Eagles. Gives it to Williams. Running down the wing. Kicks it back towards half forward. Yo gathered well on the half volley. But he was immediately tackled. There'll be a ball up. Southern side of the ground. Attacking side of the wing. Favouring the Eagles, who still lead by 2 points.
14 gone in the third. Saturday footy on ABC Sport. Flynn wins it down for West Coast. Ball hits the deck. It's going to be locked in here. Umpire will ball it up.
Wasted opportunity by Bonner then. Well, you just could have kept going.
Yeah.
They had out numbers and that kick had to hit King to get a shot on goal.
Marshall with the tap, but it's straight to an eagle in Jimby. His hand pass stolen as well by Dow. Skip past Hoff. Lovely hand pass to Hill. He's away down the outer side. Stops and props. Hand passes inside Jimby. It comes to Clark. He'll kick to Membry, who marks it left half forward. Membry pauses for a moment. The lead's on towards him. Up to mark is Wilson.
Been calling for that all day, haven't we? Just hit up.
Wilson decides to play on quickly and he spots Wanganeen Miller, who's in line with the right hand behind post, and he marks 40 outs. Not sure it's a tremendously better angle.
Just the whole clamping up on Harley. I mean, we know Ross tightens the screws, but he's gone into half time and said, righto, we tighten the movement harder. Yeah. So he's put Harley Reid out of the play, which forced him forward, and they're just starting to use the ball a bit better. Their confidence is up.
So Darcy Wilson, who has 9 goals, 8 for the season, has passed to Wanganeen Miller, who's 0 goals and 3 behinds. He'll kick from 40 out. And that's why he hasn't kicked one this season. That's a shocker. It's missed everything out to the left. Has it been kept in play by the Saints? Not quite. They were trying to work it around, and Campbell Chesser under.
Amazing. Elite field kick, isn't he?
But in front of goal.
Wait a minute. And then in front of goal, just very hesitant on that one.
It's Caminiti who was tackled over the line, so it's a throw-in at left full forward. Spun back into play. Flynn front position. Tapped it over his shoulder. Immediately taken by Clark. He'll hand pass it towards the goal square. It'll trickle over the line. Wood couldn't gather under pressure. It's through for a minor score. They ease themselves closer. The Saints are 6-6-42. The Eagles 6-7-43. 16 gone in the third. Bridget Lacey's downstairs.
A couple of issues for the Saints on the bench. Max King's having his left knee looked at, and Kel Wilkes had an issue with his right arm.
The kick in from the Eagles went straight down the middle of the ground and went over all heads and fell in the lap of Jack Sinclair in the end, who took the mark, goes wide. Wanganeen Miller now has it. A bit more in his closer to his comfortable position on the wing. Gave it to Windhager by foot. His kick inside the forward 50 was too hot for Owens. Now Henry crashing through, did well, drew a crowd, fed the handball out to Steele, kicks it towards the top of the square. Big pack flies off hands. Oh, Witherden tackled off the ball. The Eagles somehow managed to clean the ball up and gain possession. Petrocelli kicks it out to the wing. It's a foot race. Wanganeen Miller leads Cripps, running away from goal. He takes a bounce and then retreats by hand to Webster, who kicks about a little pitching wedge over the top to Wanganeen Miller. It was well worked in the end by the Saints as they now look to switch the ball back to the broadcast wing, and Battle is able to almost find. He kicks it over the head of Darcy Wilson, who tracks it, going back towards the boundary. Had to dance around Cole, did so well, kicks it inside the forward 50, bouncing ball. Wood couldn't gather, coming through. The Eagles was Chesser, did well, got it to Yo, now Witherden.
Under real pressure from Hill, hand pass to no one in particular. Hoff's there to mop up. He's tackled immediately across the defensive edge of the centre square. Right half back, it's going to be a ball up.
Big ball by Chesser there. Jack still had to have a shot on goal.
Oh, I was just going to say, Chloe,
he's got 30 metres out.
Might be the nicest bloke in the team, but you're the captain. Got to hit the scoreboard.
Both rugs had a touch on it. Came down to Yo for the Eagles, to Witherden. And kicked to the outer side of the ground on the southern wing. Taken by Bonner. Just a steer a pass back to Steele, and then moving it to Bonner again. Kicks the Saints into the left forward pocket. Big pack underneath it. Membry stretches. One down by the Eagles. Spilled to Higgins. He snaps in the direction of goal. Won't have the carry. It's across the face. Cole's back there to mop up for West Coast. Kicks beyond defensive 50. Finds Marrick. That was well worked by West Coast. And the crowd in around the 45,000 marker, appreciative of what they're seeing as Marrick goes back again with an inboard pass to Cole. Still the Eagles by a point. 18 gone in the third.
Cole goes short to Hoff. In turn, looks to go back to Duggan. It was a dangerous ball, hung in the air. Wanganeen Miller chopped it off with a spoil, did his own roving, and the dribble towards goal from the boundary was narrow, and it's a minor score.
Have a look in the middle now.
Yeah,
two in the middle.
Higgins and Membry, top of the goal square.
Scores are level, 6-7-43 apiece. 19 minutes played. Saturday footy on ABC Sport. Here's Clint Wheeldon.
They were crying out for the football as well. Miller are now with 4 behinds for the season. Missed one earlier completely. Saints will win it over from the restart in the middle of the ground. It came to Hill. He'll go short and find Wood. He marks 52 out from goal. Slight angle to the left. Pops it inside forward 50. Not great marking from the Eagles. And Sinclair's been able to mark. He's got it in line with the left hand behind post. He can put boots of ball from 50 out.
Just the last few minutes, King and Marshall have been on the bench, which just throws everything out for the opposition. Everything goes small. No one knows what to do. Throws it out for a couple of minutes, and look where St Kilda are.
The Eagles have led since the 23rd minute mark of the second term. It's now the 19-minute mark of the third. Any score will put the Saints in front. Here comes Sinclair. 6 goals, 3 for the season. From 50 out, kicks on its way. Goal umpire barely has to move. It's through for a major. Saints back in front. 6th lead change of the game as St Kilda moved to be 7-7-49 to the Eagles 6-7-43 as we head into time on in the third quarter. Let's head downstairs. Saturday footy on ABC Sport. Our boundary rider, Bridget Lacey.
Yeah, Cal Wilkie's just headed back onto the ground. He's got some fresh strapping on his right elbow. Max King is still chatting to the doctors about his left knee issue. Obviously, Dan Butler sitting there getting ready for his opportunity.
So ahead by 6 points now, St Kilda. Bridget Lacey downstairs quickly.
And just as I was speaking, Jack Williams came to the West Coast bench and Zane True has been injected for West Coast, so they've made the move as well.
Yeah, that was an obvious one, I thought.
Just the 2 disposals for Jack Williams today for West Coast, and the one behind was a late in for Jake Waterman, who's dealing with a shoulder issue. Ball back in the middle. Sheed was the first one to get onto it from all comers. Steele immediately tackled him. Zane True on for his first game of the season. Career game number 7. Ball tossed in the air. Williams doing battle with Marshall. Williams was able to get a kick towards half-board. Jones trying to get onto it for the Eagles. Cripps was clean. Came through. Got it to the sub in True. He was run down from behind. Umpire said play on. Popped out into space in front of Cripps. Clever little tap back to Marrick. And a good kick into Ryan in the pocket. Looked like he went to play on, but he pulled himself up. He'll go back from a tight angle to the right.
How is that not holding the ball? Unless he's got a toe to it.
Ball ends up with Liam Ryan. He plays on. Oh, sells the candy to the man of the mark. Goes to the outside of the right. And kicks a ripping goal for his second. Oh, Liam Ryan shapes up to run around on the left. The man of the mark thought he outboxed him. He was there to smother, and he danced back onto the right, and he finished with the banana. The Eagles square it up again, 7-7, 49 apiece. Oh, some special stuff from Liam Ryan, Shane Woden, Chris Waterman. We just saw the replay. Like True may have just got a boot to it, a shin.
Got a shin to it.
How was that from Liam Ryan on Wanganeen Miller?
And in slow motion too, wasn't it? Just
got him in the air.
Yeah, had the star jump going. Great kick by Marrick too. That's fantastic. Ball use inside 50. Cripps kept it alive.
I just don't know who wants to win.
No, it's arm wrestle.
Bridget Lacey downstairs, Bridge.
Max King's back on the ground for the Saints.
He's gone straight to full forward as well. Restart, a holding decision going the way of the Eagles. They'll take the free kick. It'll come to Bailey J. Williams. Goes on a run. Right in the middle of the ground. He'll kick into the right forward pocket. They come from everywhere. Ryan's at the back. Had a swing. Missed. Ball hits the deck. Good pressure from St Kilda when it was needed most. Sinclair dived on top of it. Ball up.
It's red tape mark of the year, Liam Ryan too. Anchored him down.
Marshall at the back against Starling. Darling tries to shovel it forward. It's in the goal square. Ryan! He just pounced on it with the outside of the right boot, caressed it across the goal line for his third. And the Eagles are back in front. Another lead change, the 7th of the game. West Coast are 8-7-55. The Saints are 7-7-49. It was there for a goal, and it's like what we would have seen last night with AC Milan against Roma. Soccered through by Liam Ryan. 24 gone in the third. Saturday footy on ABC Sport.
It's hard to defend when you're constantly moving as a small forward.
I'm about to say, Dougal Howe's got a big body. You just got to keep him out.
Yeah.
Got to do anything you can to keep Liam Ryan out of that contest. That's your job. You got one job there.
Yeah, defend.
Back-to-back goals for Ryan. 3-2 for this game. You're right, well, he's looking for another mark of the year contender, though. That would have been on the ground, but he's looking for it.
When's he not looking for it?
That's true.
Another wayward bounce in the middle, so umpire will go collect the ball and will go again. He's the second time he's got himself out the back, Liam Ryan. He did it late in the second quarter. Clever little punch out of that pack by Jack Darling towards goal as well, just to keep the ball moving. This time, the ball's tossed straight up in the air. It's tapped straight down to Jack Steele. That's the tighter interpretation. He had one arm free. He was immediately tackled, but he had one arm free, and Ruben Jimby will be the recipient of a holding the ball decision. They're the ones we'll see more often in the second half of the season. Jimby goes inside the attacking 50. Ryan's there again. Ran over the ball this time, ends up dragging it back in. The umpire runs in and says he'll ball it up. So it's inside the Eagles' attacking 50. 2 goals in a row, both to Liam Ryan. They lead by 6 points. Ball's tossed in the air. The out-of-area umpire has spotted a free kick, and it's going the way of the Saints and Marcus Windhager for high contact. So now St Kilda move the ball beyond attacking 50. Wilson ran into trouble, ran into Harley Reid, was tackled, he threw the ball away, and Harley Reid slammed him to the turf. And he could be in a bit of trouble if Darcy Wilson's head hit the ground, because he did throw him with some ferocity.
We'll go off for an assessment.
So Darcy Wilson wins the free kick, sends it up the wing, flying from behind is Caminiti. Takes the mark. Darcy Wilson immediately runs to the bench and takes a break as the kick goes up towards half-board for St Kilda. McGovern tapped it down towards Barris, who ran over the boundary line before getting a kick. I haven't seen the replay myself, but here we go.
I think there's your Dan
a bit
Butler
of a slinging action.
Yeah, he's in strife.
Yeah.
So Harley Reid caught Darcy Wilson, got him off balance, and as he threw the ball away, Reid followed through, slinging his jumper to ground. That'll be looked at during the week.
Could be a Harley holiday, I think. Forced into the right forward pocket for the Saints. Oh, it'll come towards Dow, who tried to run it along the ground and knocked through for a rush behind. The Eagles through Cole had to be right back there to knock it across the line. Otherwise, it was going to split the middle. 8-7-55 the Eagles, 7-8-50 the Saints. 27 gone in the third.
The Eagles bring the ball back into play. Into the pocket. Ball in the hands of Alex Witherden. Kicks it beyond defensive 50 to the wing. Flynn read the fading ball best, but he couldn't quite get 2 hands to it. It's off hands, out of bounds.
Done a good job, Windhager, too.
Yeah.
He kept Harley to 2 possessions this quarter.
Well, I thought Harley going forward looked a little bit different, which is probably what they should do, but St Kilda cannot afford West Coast to score in this last couple of minutes.
He tagged Tim Kelly a few years ago and kept him to 4 disposals, Marcus Windhager. This time the clearing kick from the Saints goes to half forward and Liam Duggan intercepts the ball. It goes short to Sheed. So he has history being a stopper against the Eagles. 4 disposals from about 83% game time that day, Tim Kelly.
So and Harley's not getting it at stoppage. He's not got a big tank in transition. So, yeah, put him forward where he's dangerous. Might take a catch or 2.
Zane True, the sub, onto the ground, has the ball, kicks it up the wing. Flynn knocked it down to his teammate in Darling, who was tackled straight away by a number of Saints. The ball will be tossed up again. Attacking side, the broadcast wing for the Eagles. It's down to Jimby. Him and Clark wrestling at it too. Genuine hard nuts going at it. Couldn't be separated.
Windhager stays on and takes a fresh yo. Now inside.
Ball tossed back up in the air again. Marshall to the front. Clear hit out into the path of Dow. Was tackled without it. Umpire said it was okay, and Hill came through and fumbled the ball over the boundary line. There'll be a ball in right in front of the St Kilda bench. They trail the Eagles by 5 points, 29 gone in the third.
Here's another look for us here at the ground for the Harley Reid tackle. I absolutely think he's in strife for that.
Yep, absolutely.
Throwing back into play. Henry tackled by Yo and holding the ball. He just got it out. It comes to Dow. Hand pass to Henry, racing by. Showed real speed. That's a lovely hand pass to Brad Hill. Pops a hand pass short. Caminiti looks to slap it in the direction of Clark. Taken though by Duggan. Tries to take on the tackle. And then he's over the boundary line for a throw-in. The Saints wanted holding the ball, but Duggan had gone across the line, I reckon, in time.
And he knew he was in strife too then, Duggan.
He did. Clever. It was actually really clever. Like, if I stay in the field of play, I'm cooked because I've taken the tackler on. But by stepping across the line, thrown back in. Marshall, front position, down to Ginby. Got some boot on it, but only as far as Windhager for the Saints. From right half forward, kicks back to full forward. Big fly from Caminiti, almost brought the mark down. There to try to get it away was Owens. Shoveled a hand pass towards full forward. Barris is back there, provides the shepherd for Gaff, and he spears the pass into Jones, who marks it right full back for the Eagles and brings it back into the middle of the ground.
So if Harley Reid is suspended, is he ineligible to win the Rising Star? I believe it's the same as the Brownlow. You can be nominated but can't win. I have to double check it, but that could open the race up for the Rising Star massively, as he is the favourite at the moment. Just had a quick look and seemed to be the first glance that may be the rule. So was the rule once upon a time. We'll see if it's changed. As Jimby goes back to Barris, deep in defence.
Yeah, they're ineligible if they're suspended.
Yep. So Harley Reid will be looked at during the week. Well, tonight and tomorrow morning by the MRO. We'll know tomorrow afternoon whether he'll get offered a suspension or a fine at the least, you would imagine. But McGovern goes out to the wing. Flynn, strong hands in front of Rowan Marshall, takes the mark. He's been very good today, Matt Flynn.
Young Darcy will be up for a review from last night's game too, so that throws it right out. I would say he's having a holiday.
Well, there's two of the Rising Star favourites in a bit of trouble. As Ryan flies from behind, right on the siren. He takes the mark. He points to the goals to the umpire. He is about 90 metres from the goal line. The umpire says, I don't think so, Liam. So that'll be three-quarter time. The Eagles lead the Saints by 5 points. Clint Wilden.
8-7-55 West Coast to St Kilda 7-8-50. Three-quarter time for West Coast. Earlier today, the Hawks by 27 over Adelaide. The goal kickers here at three-quarter time. Liam Ryan's got 3, 2 to Cripps, singles to Gaff, to Darling and to Bailey J. Williams. While for the Saints, Max King's got a couple, singles to Ross, to Henry, to Wood, Sinclair and to Caminiti. West Coast with a 5-point advantage with a quarter to play at Perth Stadium. Wherever you're listening on ABC Radio, Sport Digital and streaming on the ABC Listen app, look for the AFL button. This is Saturday Footy on ABC Sport.
Can you reach the buzzers, kids? Put them on boxes. Can't you get higher? Higher? Higher!
Hard Quiz is back. Sort of. It's adult rules, but kid contestants.
Cute.
The kids are adorable, but Tom's style is deplorable.
What do you call a Hard Quiz kid giving a correct answer? A surprise!
All new Hard Quiz Kids.
I think we all need more screen time.
Start Saturday night, June 8 on ABC Family and ABC iView.
This is ABC Sports coverage of the 2024 AFL season. Every match on the ABC Listen app.
Look for the AFL button.
McGovern went down. Owens stayed up at the back. Got the handball over to King. He handballs over the top to Seb Ross. Unmarked in the goal square, and the Saints get the first of the second half. Jack Williams misses at one end. The Saints go end to end.
Pops it inside forward 50. Not great marking from the Eagles, and Sinclair's been able to mark. Any score will put the Saints in front. Here comes Sinclair. 6 goals, 3 for the season. From 50 out, kicks on its way. Goal umpire barely has to move. It's through for a major. Saints back in front.
Clever little tap back to Marrick, and a good kick into Ryan in the pocket. Looked like he went to play on, but he pulled himself up. He'll go back from a tight angle to the right. Liam Ryan, he plays on. Oh, sells the candy to the man on the mark. Goes to the outside of the right. And kicks a ripping goal for his second.
Marshall at the back against Darling. Darling tries to shovel it forward. It's in the goal square. Ryan! He just pounced on it with the outside of the right boot, caressed it across the goal line for his third. The Eagles are back in front. Another lead change, the 7th of the game.
Wilson ran into trouble, ran into Harley Reid, was tackled, he threw the ball away, and Harley Reid slammed him to the turf. And he could be in a bit of trouble if Darcy Wilson's head hit the ground, because he did throw him with some ferocity.
Look off for assessment.
The 2024 AFL Premiership season.
On your radio.
ABC Sport Digital.
And on the ABC Listen app.
We were laughing about it earlier in the game, but the fake West Australian headline, which was done by St Kilda, which was the Darce and the Furious, and it was Darcy Wilson and Harley Reid. What a premonition that was, Harley Reid being furious and throwing Darcy Wilson into the ground. I reckon Harley's set for a holiday from what we've seen so far. This game, quarter to come, but after this, we're off to Geelong and Richmond. Joel Peterson leading the team. G'day, Joel.
Hello, Clint. Happy to report, first of all, to tick the first box of the evening, that we've got the Cats and the Tigers playing tonight, and nothing is on the loose. There are no animals that need to be tamed, nothing that needs to be handled. We've just got 46 players ready to do their thing this evening. It's a chilly night in Geelong. Unfortunately for the hometown team, they've gone the way of the weather of recent times. They won their first 7. They've lost their last 4, the first time they've done that since 2006. The Tigers, on the other hand, they ran second-placed Essendon within 2 kicks last week, and they've only got 1 win. They've got an injury list that's as long as the Prince's Freeway, but I think the Cats fans had come here with a little bit of trepidation this evening. Geelong get Gary Rowan and Mark O'Connor back tonight. They replace Mark Blitzavs and Jai Clark, both suspended. For the outs for the Tigers, well, they're much more pronounced. Dion Prestia and their leading goal kicker, Shea Bolton, both out of the team. An indicator of their plight so far this season, Richmond, has been that Caleb Smith debuts tonight, the West Aussie bolter from the 2022 draft. He's the 40th player to play for Richmond this season. He will be their sub. Gary Rowan will be Geelong's. Lauren Borden's here alongside me to call it. St Kilda champ Nathan Burke and AFLW All-Australian Kez Peterson to break it down. And our resident sandgroper, Rory Campbell, is on the boundary for his first taste of Victorian winter, Clint, which I'm sure will be very kind to him throughout the course of the evening.
Good on you, Joel. Very happy that certainly no Tigers lurking about pre-game. We did have Aussie the Eagle that went rogue here in the West before this one. Will it be the Eagles or the Saints who prevail? Let's get the thoughts of our experts, Chris Waterman and Shane Woden. Saturday footy on ABC Sport.
Well, I thought St Kilda dominated that quarter. 16 inside 50 to 7. 3 goals, 4 though. Just didn't capitalise on some opportunities. A couple of dribbler goal opportunities, probably deep in the pocket, but held field position, won territory, and just didn't capitalise on their opportunity. So, yeah, it's an actual arm wrestle, this game.
Huge arm wrestle, and I think Ross just tightened the screws at half-time, but I see they've pulled the trigger and Butler's on, which could be a telling factor in this game.
Liam Duggan has 20 disposals for the Eagles. Dom Sheed and Harley Reid 19. Paddy Dow 17 for the Saints. Clint Wheeldon for the fourth turn.
Downstairs to Bridget Lacey for just a moment. Bounce about to take place in the middle. Here we go. Bailey Williams wins it down. The umpire falls over. He's gone up holding his back. Ball still to be won in the middle of the ground. Bailey Williams shovels a hand pass out for Yo to run onto. He'll kick into the right forward pocket and marking his Cripps. Bridget Lacey, what have you got?
Yeah, it's Max King who's been subbed out with that left knee injury, and as Chris said, Dan Butler's into the game, and Luke Shuey had a long chat to Harley Reid at that break just before he went back into the game.
Shot on the big screen just then of Max King sitting at the back of the benches.
Might be playing on Harley's mind a little bit, that incident, I think.
I just saw his body language at three-quarter time. He came out from the bench and blokes were patting him. I think he just knows he's having a break.
Meantime, Cripps crosses the 50 from right half forward. He kicks another one for the Eagles. He's got his third. He's loved the right forward pocket at the city end of the ground in this game. Has kicked a couple of rippers. Gives the Eagles now an 11-point lead in the opening 60 seconds of the final term. West Coast 9-7-61. The Saints are 7-8-50. This is Saturday footy on ABC Sport. Our experts, Chris Waterman and Shane Woden.
Got to go to work in the centre now, St Kilda, Wowie.
Yes.
Have to really tighten up and just not let it... Can't be walked out like that.
Good finish. I don't know what Wanganeen Valera was doing. He had Cripps. He had him goal side.
Just got to get some body on him. Don't let him get goal side. Keep him in front of you the whole time. But they have to work super hard, St Kilda, to stay in this game in this middle area.
I think Sinclair pressed hard onto the ball carrier and create the overlap.
The Eagles have opened up an 11-point margin. True gets the clearance for West Coast. Kicks it inside the forward 50. Petruccelli couldn't mark. Sinclair did well. Roved it for the Saints. Kicked it beyond defensive 50. Witherden had first hands there. Butler onto the ground. Knocked it away. Then got the ball back from a teammate. 2 bounces down the wing for Dan Butler. Kicks it up towards Jack Higgins, and Brady Hoff just led him the entire way. Took the mark on the chest in the end, like he was almost the leading forward. Took the intercept mark and now send the ball back down the wing for the Eagles. Darling, hand was held by Howard. He might have suckered the umpire into it. That's experience for Jack Darling, game 289. As I said, next week, granted he plays in the next game for the West Coast Eagles, he'll tie Dean Cox's second all-time for the Eagles, 290 games.
Here is Darling kicking to the right forward pocket. Wilkie, good mark. Defensively for St Kilda. Front position, he dragged it in. Tucks the red Sharon under the right arm. Gesticulates to a few players about where he wants them to go and then kicks beyond defensive 50. Marshall got in front of Yo and takes the mark as they both go to ground. And Marshall swung the left hand back and got Yo in the face. And then there's a little collision between umpire and player off the ball as well. That's Harley Reid who goes to ground. The kicks towards left half forward. The Saints emerge with it through. Owens gave it on to Bradley Hill. Pops it inside forward 50. Higgins marks. 45 out from goal. You had an option on tight in the left forward pocket. That's ignored. He'll send it towards full forward. Mason Wood is up and marks. He used Jinby as a step ladder. That's a terrific mark.
I wasn't sure about the kick, but didn't realise it was Mason Wood. So identified the mismatch, Rowie.
Yes.
And he got up. This is the guy we mentioned earlier in the game. Needed to push hard forward.
It's a good grab. He'll snap from the right forward pocket. The Saints fans will celebrate. It's a goal and his second. They hit back again, St Kilda. They're not going away in the West. 4 minutes gone in the last. The Eagles 9-7-61. The Saints move to be 8-8-56. We're back to that 5-point margin. Bridget Lacey's downstairs.
I did just want to mention Darcy Wilson after that tackle from Harley Reid. He did look a little bit dazed and came straight to the bench, and you mentioned the doctors chatted to him for a little bit, but obviously fine to continue and started this last quarter on the ground.
You mentioned it before, Chris, but could you imagine in one weekend of footy, if Harley Reid is suspended, you've had the favourite for the Rising Star. Sam Darcy's already been offered 2 matches. He was second in favouritism for the Rising Star. Could be without both of them from the one weekend.
Incredible.
Caleb Wins, I believe, might be third, and he plays tomorrow against the Dockers, so we'll see what happens as the ball's back in the middle of the ground and it's called immediately for another stoppage.
What is interesting is just to see how Harley goes this last quarter after the incident. Now it's in his head, playing in his head. Can he just get it out and get on with it?
Marshall tapped it down to Dow for the Saints. Gave it to the run of Wood. Kicked it up towards Caminiti. Wasn't the best kick. Had to go up and try and grab it. Edwards did very well for West Coast. Knocked it away, then gathered. Kicked it towards half forward. Off hands. Saints able to get back onto the loose ball in the end. Sinclair gives it to Wanganeen Millera. Delayed the handball back before giving it back to Sinclair. His kick up the wing finds Mason Wood. A long way from where he was a moment ago. Kicking the goal. Kicks it towards half forward now. Owens in a one-on-one was able to get rid of his opponent. Tap it towards Henry. He was tackled well. Dispossessed. Fell the way though to Higgins. Centres the ball and Dow managed to find some space inside the attacking 50. And he'll go back from the slightest of angles to the right, about 35 to 40 metres out.
It's been pretty good, Paddy Dow. Well, not huge numbers. Had the 18, but like 9 clearances.
21 touches last week. Paddy Dow on the runway. Pulls it away to the left and gets some friendly advice from Bailey Williams after the miss. So a minus score. St Kilda are 8-9-57. The Eagles are 9-7-61. 6.5 played in the final term.
He's kicking at 25%. Paddy Dow showed that he does get a bit of it.
Just to clear his player.
It was disappointing for St Kilda. Kicking from McGovern towards right half back. Flynn went up, hands to it, spills away and over for a boundary throw-in.
So Harley has gone forward. He was deep, playing more as their tip, but wanted to come long down the line there. Not sure about that.
Ian Darling, the first players forward for West Coast as the ball's put back into play. He's Flynn against Marshall. It's Marshall who won it down to Steele. Hand pass it back to Marshall, who dropped it under pressure. Picks it up again, drags it in, came out the side. Umpire spotted a push. It'll go the way of the Eagles, rather. It's going to Jinby, who's a little bit worse for wear in amongst the massive Saints. Get up and trot backwards. Mop of blonde hair. He's got the side shaved. Goes on a run. Kick hurt too as he puts it towards right half forward. Only Williams is up. Got a touch on it. Spilled down to Wilkie. Meant the hand pass it to Clark. He couldn't gather. Wilkie battling away. Coming the other way. The Eagles are able to take it through True over the boundary line for a throw in at right half forward. Darling stands on his own at full forward at the moment, with a player alongside him, but there's no support for him. Reid has gone back to where the contest will be from the throw-in. Flynn palmed it down. Eagle on debut. Comes out, though, for the Saints. Windhager bursts through, gets a kick up into the air. McGovern working his opponent out from underneath it in Owens. Gaff can't quite take it cleanly. Barris can, and he's tackled by Butler to ground. Will be a ball up at left half forward for the Saints. They trail on the scoreboard, St Kilda, by 4 points. 8.5 gone in the last. Saturday footy on ABC Sport.
Flynn and Marshall crash into each other as True comes in, roves the ball off the pack, had a few steps, was dispossessed, holding the ball. Henry takes the advantage, kicks towards Higgins in the pocket. Hoff was right there with him. Higgins gathered it though, handballed it back into play, ends up with Butler, tries to take the tackle on, somehow gets the handball out to Higgins. And Jack Higgins snaps it on the right from the top of the square, and the Saints are in front. Jack Higgins finishes it off. They just refused to be stopped as they push the ball inside, attacking 50. And they take a 2-point advantage 9 minutes into the last. 9-9-63 St Kilda, 9-7-61 the Eagles. It wasn't pretty, but they made it work.
Yeah, just kept the ball alive, didn't they? Never gave up on it.
Butler's having a couple of little important touches, but it was the Smalls that are going to get it done for St Kilda here. They've got to, as I've said before, they have to really get to work in the middle now.
8th lead change of the match. It hasn't been pretty, but it has been absorbing.
The Duggan tackle actually allowed that handball to get to Higgins off Butler.
What the Eagles fans are protesting about. They thought it could have been holding the ball. Not to be. Flynn won it down straight to Clark, who's tackled immediately by Jinby and Flynn. Ball up again in the centre circles. Flynn in best position, palmed it down. True tackled the ground, wrapped up by Steele. Ball up. Both teams have activated their subs. True for West Coast, Butler for the Saints. Restart, no one got a telling touch. And then Flynn tried to hand pass it forward. Stolen by Steele. Kicks around the body towards centre wing. It's going to be locked in here. Battle doing the defending. Membry rather doing the defending, and he wrapped up Edwards. Ball up at centre half forward for the Saints. Flynn again got there. Won it down to Duggan. Didn't take a step, but threw it on the boot and bangs it towards the commentary wing. Waiting for it. Gathering on the bounce. Sinclair for the Saints. Sends it back from whence it came. Umpire slips over. Membry doesn't. He's up to take the mark for St Kilda.
Just beyond attacking 50. Has Henry drifting forward over the top. Still right on the edge of his distance. Liam Henry instead sees a target he likes inside the forward 50. Goes over the back. Off hands. Onto it was Chesser. He was tackled immediately. Sheed gave it to Duggan. Also caught. The Saints have stepped up the pressure. Maybe could have gone back and had a shot, Liam Henry. It would have been right on the edge of his distance.
I reckon he had it.
Instead, ball up inside the Saints, attacking 50, down to Duggan. Somehow got a handball out to Cole. True. Gave it to Flynn. Somehow just threw the ball on his boot. And got an ugly-looking snap, which landed in the arms of Jermaine Jones, who takes off, immediately takes a bounce, kicks it up the wing. It's a poor kick. It favours the St Kilda defenders in battle, who is able to give it to Webster. Handballs forward. Paddy Dow, little sidestep around Darling, then handballs it to Windhager. Now Hunter Clark, smothered by Sheed. Flynn trying to soccer it forward. Clark back onto it, kicks it towards Mason Wood. He's got some time and space at half forward. Gives it to Brad Hill, centering ball inside the 50. And Mitch Owens found himself all alone. Will go back and have a set shot from about 40, 45 metres out on a maybe slightly better than 45-degree angle.
Can't get their hands on it, West Coast.
Nah.
It's 40 possessions to 18 this quarter.
They have got to work through the midfield. Great smother by Sheed. Needed more from that, but they just had numbers around the ball.
The boos ring out at Perth Stadium. Mitch Owens connects with ball to boots and ball to post to minus score. The margin out to 3 now. 9-10-64 the Saints. 9-7-61 the Eagles. 13 minutes played in the final term.
What have the Eagles got as McGovern thumps it long towards right half back? Bailey Williams brought it down. The Saints got it. They go back to Wanganeen Miller. Back again to Battle. Sold some candy. Got around Darling and puts it into the left forward pocket. Front position, McGovern. Good mark. Up against Membry. He'll move it short to Duggan. He's got space. Decides to kick instead towards the commentary wing. And it's just spilled down beautifully for Battle to mark.
Been huge, this guy.
Plays on by hand. Gave it off to Wanganeen Miller. Kicks back inside forward 50. Barris is up. Another fine defensive mark for the Eagles. The Saints peppering away. They couldn't get it past McGovern and then Barris. But it's still St Kilda who lead by 3 points. 13 gone in the last.
Barris's kick was a bit of a wobbler beyond defensive 50. Williams spilt the mark. Caminiti stole it for the Saints. Gave it to Dow. Now the kick back towards the attacking goal square for the Saints. Harry Edwards, very fine reading of the ball, was able to take the intercept mark deep in defence. He wasted no time kicking the ball out to Brady Hoff. His kick up the wing. Bailey Williams came from 4 deep with a punch. It rolls towards the boundary line and Seb Ross unable to keep it in despite his best efforts. So the ball will be spun back in right below our broadcast position.
St Kilda should just grubble the ball inside 50. Let their smalls go to work. Kicking it high. There 3 big defenders have marked the last 3 inside 50s.
Ball spun back in. Marshall got his way to the front. True, though, stole the ball off the pack. Windhager had a fresh airy. Second time he got connection, but he kicked it straight into Seb Ross. It ricochets to Jack Steele. Steadies off a step. Kicks it inside the forward 50. Membry tracking it back with the fly. Had eyes only for the ball. Did a terrific job taking the chest mark. Despite the protest from Tom Cole, he said he was being held in the contest.
Well, front on contact. Has he got something to say about it, Cole?
Just a replay again before he takes the set shot.
They turned well in time.
Mason Wood making contact on Tom Cole. Tim Membry, though, eyes only for the ball. 45-degree angle. 40 metres out. Tim Membry, normally a very reliable kick, and the Saints can rely on him this time. He gives them some breathing space. The margin's out to 9 points. St Kilda 10-10-70. The Eagles 9-7-61. Membry gets his first. We're halfway through the final term, and St Kilda have wrestled ascendancy in this match. Mitch Turner here alongside Clint Wilden for ABC Sport. Our experts, Premiership player Chris Waterman, Brownlow medalist Shane Woden.
Still plenty of time, Wowie. There's 9.5 minutes. West Coast just got to gather their thoughts here and get their hands on it in the midfield. That's where Saints have really lifted their work rate.
This quarter they have,
Eagles fans trying to get their team to rise. The chant around the ground. This is St Kilda's biggest lead of the game so far. 9 points their advantage. 16 gone in the last. Ball back in the centre. Bailey Williams against Marshall. Either ruck with a telling tap. Marshall tried to soccer it forward. He couldn't. Clark could. Bounces inside the forward 50 for the Saints. Membry releases Owens. Lovely hand pass. Owens puts it on the left. He'll kick towards goal. Wood marks. Just outside the goal square. Front position, reaching up as high as he could. He drags in the football.
It's been a good move by the St Kilda box. They've pushed him forward.
I was just about to ask you, did he come from the wing? I don't think he did.
No, not on this occasion. He's been for the last few minutes.
Looking for his third goal of the game, Mason Wood. 45-degree angle to the left. He'll kick from about 12 outs. He steers it through. It's a big goal for St Kilda as they look to end a run of 3 straight losses and 6 in 7. Broad smiles break out on the faces of the Saints as their lead goes out to 15 points. St Kilda 11-10-76. West Coast 9-7-61. 18 minutes gone in the last. ABC footy on a Saturday arvo. Our experts. Good to have them with us. Chris Waterman and Shane Woden.
Oh, the centre clearance, Wowie.
Yep.
It's telling the story, isn't it?
Oh, mate, centre bounce clearances are no more important now in this game, whereas with 6 and 6.
clearances they're just gone ahead, St Kilda, 40-37, which means they must have been behind. So they've won the first 2 or 3 or 4.
Harley Reid back in the middle for the Eagles, standing next to Jack Steele. Ball back into play. Hunter Clark was able to spin out of trouble, kicks it out in front of Butler. Witherden beat him to the ball for the Eagles, shared it with Gaff, and now kicks up the wing for Harley Reid. Takes the mark in front of Paddy Dow. Beautiful spearing kick towards half forward, finds the chest of Marek. Still too far out to score. Back onto the ball, immediate impact for Harley Reid. Marek sets the ball up inside the attacking 50. Darling flew, but Marshall stood tall and took a terrific intercept mark deep in defence. Stepped off his line, so was called to play on. Gave it to Josh Battle. Hill just delayed the handball, wore the contact, and it worked out well for St Kilda because Bonner was able to work the ball out to Wilson on the wing. His kick further afield finds Membry, and the Saints have it centre of the wing, far side of the ground.
Membry towards Ryan half forward. McGovern got in front of Wanganeen Miller. The Saint waited, the Eagle didn't. He marks the West Coast at left half back. Spears it in the middle of the ground. Ryan couldn't mark, tapped for his own advantage. He's got 4 Saints chasing him. He breaks the tackle, hands it off to Yo. Top of the 50-metre arc, sends it towards right full forward. Darling marks. Marek wanted it to come back to him. He was on a 45-degree angle, 20 out from goal. Jack goes down onto one knee. He'll like his chances here as he just retires the right boot.
Angle was McGovern. Got to come forward to defend. Read the kicker's cues. It probably wasn't the kick really to come back in board at that stage. Intercept mark. And clean at ground level by Liam Ryan.
Just needed to lift his head there, Jack, and have a look around. There was 2 free. It's a certain goal.
Took all that time to retie the laces, Jack.
Oh, don't worry about your boots. Just have a quick look over your shoulder if there's someone in the goal square, and there was.
There was indeed. He needs to kick it now, Jack Darling. Hard up against the boundary at right full forward. He started, he stops, he goes again. He goes off the outside of the right boots. The retied laces work a treat. Jack Darling's got 2. And the Eagles hit back. 10-7-67 West Coast at the 20-minute mark of the last. The Saints still have the lead. They're 11-10-76, but the margin is back to 9 points in favour of the visitors. Our experts, Chris Waterman and Shane Woden.
He backed the banana in, didn't he? Jeez, it was a brave kick by McGovern. The 3v1 there inside the centre circle.
Well, he picked it off very well in the first place. St Kilda had 2 free and they went to the wrong one, but might have just bitten off more than they could chew here, West Coast. 9 points is only 9 points, but the way this game's been played, that's a long way out.
Still plenty of time left, as you can hear the Eagles crowd here at Perth Stadium. Always strong, and they had a warning before St Kilda. Now they're penalised for a 6-6-6 infringement. They try and flood back. Bailey Williams wins the free kick inside the centre circle. Kicks it inside, attacking 50 for the Eagles. Goes over the back to Howard. He handballs it to Clark. He was pushed off it by Jones. Howard jumped back onto it, kicks it up the wing. Williams spilt the mark. Witherden now kicks it inside the forward 50 for the Eagles. Flynn couldn't take it. Ross is in there for the Saints. Ryan was pulled off it. Players stopped. They expected a free kick. After all of that, the clearing kick to the wing fell in the arms of Jeremy McGovern, who just thumps one inside the attacking 50. Big fist from behind was Battle. Yo snaps it towards the goal square. Hill able to get in front of Chesser and punch it through for a behind. Margin back to 8 points. 10-8-68 the Eagles. 11-10-76 the Saints. 22 minutes played in the final term.
For what it's worth, Matt Flynn is absolutely cooked. One game back in the waffle, now back into the AFL. Kick for the Saints towards right half back. Wilson worked it onto Wanganeen Miller. A good kick down the line. Finds Marshall. There's a Saint free over the top. That's the way the kick goes. Membry runs onto the bouncing football. Gets a kick inside forward 50. Bounces the way of Wood. Henry wanted it. Wonderfully done. McGovern won it down. Gets the kick away. Almost tackled. Only as far as Windhager at right half forward. Gives it to the captain of St Kilda in Steele. Short to Membry again. He really should have hit Wood just moments ago. And Wood will be going back to have a shot at goal as we speak. He's too far out to score himself here, Member. He gets told to play on. He'll put it towards full forward. Going back, winning it to ground there was Edwards. He gathers it a second time. He's tackled the ground. That'll be a ball up at the top of the goal square. Harry Edwards will be the last man up.
He took it on.
He did. 8 points the margin in favour of the Saints. 23 gone in the last.
McGovern was cooked. He couldn't get back on that high ball.
47,500 in the house. Can St Kilda spoil the party? Caminiti coming through was tackled immediately. Now Clark, he's gang tackled as well. And the ball doesn't move. It's still about 13 or 14 metres out from the Saints attacking goal. It'll be tossed up again. Rowan Marshall, Bailey J. Williams. Marshall in front, taps it down to Butler, trying to gather, can't. Or Edwards went without it for the Eagles. Yo handballs it towards Duggan, who's pressured out of bounds by Ross. They get it slightly further away from the attacking goal face, the Eagles, but still very much in a dangerous position for the Saints.
Need a point, Wowie. Just get a kick in.
St Kilda
need 3 to win.
Yeah. Lead by 8 points. Williams from the throw-in came over the top, tapped it down to Yo. Gave it to the run of Cole, kicks it to the wing. Ryan stayed down at the back. Flynn knocked it down. Wanganeen Miller went without it. Harley Reid tried to bust through, and he was caught, and he was pinged, holding the ball. He wanted a high tackle. He's not happy. There was no question about prior opportunity. He took them on. And the replay shows he was probably a little unlucky too, because Wanganeen Miller had got him around the neck. It's a free kick to the Saints, and they go towards Windhager at half forward.
No, I'm happy with that. Took the first tackle on Miller. It was the second one.
Here's Windhager, attacking edge of the centre square. Sends it into the right forward pocket. Woods marks.
It's down the field.
Down the field free kick. Now what's happened here?
It's Harley Reid at the late hit.
Let's head downstairs. Bridget Lacey, what have you got?
Yeah, Harley put down Windhager after he kicked it. He's frustrated. He's very frustrated. And he only just got back on the ground.
I don't reckon there's anything in that one either.
There wasn't much in that at all.
That's not down.
No, that was as he kicked it, I thought.
So here's Wood. Whirls around, kicks his fourth for the Saints from the right forward pocket. Will that be enough for St Kilda? Their lead is out to 14 points at the 25-minute mark of the last. 12-10-82 to 10-8-68. So I would make the point that I thought Harley Reid did give away the free kick. He took the tackler on and then was tackled. Then there was one after that was high, but the free kick was there for taking the tackler on and being tackled. But that was a bit over the top. That was just the slightest bump as the ball was being kicked inside forward 50. So
he fell on the ground.
Barely touched him.
The umpires were going to be vigilant all weekend. There's
Yep.
been a call, so you just had to be extra careful.
I watched the Harley Reid contact. I believe it would take the mark anyway in the forward 50.
Yeah.
So it didn't really have too much of an effect on the result as we're back underway. Steals buried into the turf by Jimby. Mason Woods kicked 3 from an identical spot. And another one from the other pocket as well. He's got 4 goals. What a performance he's putting on. Back underway. Windhager this time gets the kick away from the stoppage in front of Henry. He had to get a handball away quickly. Hoff was caught, spun around. Umpire said it's okay. The Eagles get it out to Yo. Has to try and dance away from the pressure of Bradley Hill. Does so well. Kicks it towards half forward over the head of Reid. Wilkie was able to take possession. Saints now clear it to the wing. Darcy Wilson has the mark on the southern side of the ground. He just slows it down. The time is now certainly against the Eagles, but it's not over as Wilson's kick is a horrible one off the side of the boot. Goes out of bounds on the full. So St Kilda lead by 14 points. There's 27 minutes played. There is still time, but the Eagles have got to go quick as Williams flies. Couldn't take the mark. Would have been something special. Wanganeen Miller up. He has a fumble, eventually gets it to Wilson, shares it with Sinclair. The handball out in front of Windhager as Owen Marshall is still down after cops maybe a knee in the back of the head. Oh, a big contact from Bailey Williams in that marking contest. Either way, the Saints lead by 14 points. 27 and a half played as the ball will get spun back in.
Umpires spotted something here. Well, there's physios in too close. They're looking to try and get some treatment to a player. Well, that's Rowan Marshall.
I think it's a doctor trying to find out whether he's been concussed.
Is this not a free kick?
No, I don't think it is. He's trying to check on the welfare of the player.
So
that would be priority.
Not with the doctor, it isn't. So he has tried to check on the player. Now, and then here's the issue again. Marshall has told him to go away, and should he be allowed to do that? The Eagles win it down. It comes to Yeo, thumps it long. He's missed the lot to the right-hand side. This is that question. Should the player be allowed to tell the doctor to go away? And that's what Marshall's done.
Should the umpire take control of that situation then?
I agree, and just say, everybody stop. We'll sort this out, because the clock's not going to tick. We'll get this fixed first.
Well, the doctor wants to get him off.
The doctor's come to him a second time.
So the ball's kicked beyond defensive 50 for St Kilda, and Mitch Owens marks the ball. The doctor has chased Rowan Marshall up and back.
Well, that's why there's no free kick. You couldn't possibly pay a free kick. It's unfair. The umpire can't control that situation.
Kick up the wing by Owens. Barris floated across and took the mark.
Doc's trying to do his job.
The Doc's given up now as Rowan Marshall stayed on the field. The kick goes back inside the Eagles attacking 50. Owens spilt it. Duggan got a handle to Cripps. The umpire said he was held without it. So Jamie Cripps will go back and try to... He can't take too much time, Jamie Cripps. He's walking back very slowly. He cannot take his full 30 seconds here because the Eagles are down by 14. There's about 2 minutes to play. He needs to get this on quickly. Jamie Cripps to give the Eagles a pulse. The kick is on goal. It's away to the left, and it doesn't even register a score. It's marked on the last line of defence by Dougal Howard. And the Saints will probably begin now to try and run out the seconds on the clock as Howard goes short to Battle, who now kick beyond defensive 50 to a pack, flying at the front, taking a strong mark and hitting the deck hard. It's Mitch Owens, who's been everywhere in this last few minutes. The Saints lead by 14. We've played 30 minutes in the final term.
By the way, so has Battle. He's been terrific in this game and that last quarter. 23, or 22 rather, disposals for him. Kicks to the outer side. Yeo has it. He's off hands first, then taken over the boundary line for a throw-in. Just want to go back to that doctor situation. There's no free kick there. The doctor's trying to do the right thing. The umpire can just stop play and let that get sorted out.
The umpire was directing the doctor out, though.
Well, I have an issue with that.
I'm not sure he can.
Throwing down again. Comes out here towards Hill. I'm trying to just hack it forward here, the Saints. Dow's waiting underneath it. Going up is Cole. He's able to work it away to Witherden. Oh, Steele, massive tackle. The ball just came out the side for West Coast, and waiting for it was Gaff, and he was absolutely crunched. Great tackle by the Saints captain. Throwing up again, trying to bring it away. Now he was thrown into the ground. Witherden got him by one arm and takes him down. There's no damage.
Started slow, didn't you, Jack Steele? Worked his way into the game.
Flynn taps it down to Gaff. He was trying to push it down the outer side, and Reid has tackled the ground. We've got ourselves a ball up.
This has been a classic ambush in the second half, hasn't it? Yeah. Just tighten the screws right up.
Yeah, Harley Reid's only had the 3 this second half.
So here's Flynn working it away to Witherden down the outer side of the ground. Comes eventually out the side to Webster, and then it's taken over the boundary line again.
It's a great effort by Winhager. Takes concentration. Eagles going at him. Done a superb job for his team.
The only question now for the Saints is, can they get out tomorrow with the issues at Perth Airport? Spun back in again. Tackled was Sheed.
He's going to pick up 18 possessions of his own as well. He hasn't just gone in and stopped. He's got his hands on the ball.
Marshall wins it from the restart. Gets a clearing kick towards Caminiti. Picks it up for the Saints. What a win for St Kilda. The locals are unhappy, but the Saints, they come west and beat the Eagles by 14. When the Saints go marching in, oh how I want to be with St Kilda. When the Saints go marching in. It's pretty much what you expect from a Ross Line coach team. They fought their way in a tight contest. And despite trailing at quarter time by 9, by 14 at the break, and by 5 at three-quarter time, the Saints prevail in the West.
When the Saints go marching in, oh, when the Saints go marching in, oh, how I want to be with St Kilda. When the Saints go marching in.
And marching in for their 4th win of the season, it ends a run of 3 consecutive defeats. And an awful run as well when they'd lost 6 of their past 7. The Saints in the West getting a win over the Eagles. 12-10-82 to West Coast 10-8-68. They'll take the points back to Melbourne. Will they be able to take them back tomorrow? All the issues at Perth Airport. Mason Wood kicked 4 goals. It's a career equal best for him. 4th time he's kicked 4 goals in a game. Max King was subbed out, but he kicked 2 before that happened. Singles to Higgins, to Ross, to Henry, to Membry, to Sinclair and to Caminiti. While for West Coast, Liam Ryan kicked 3, Jamie Cripps kicked 3, Jack Darling with 2, singles to Bailey J. Williams and to Andrew Gaff. The Saints by 14 points. What did you make of things? Chris Waterman, Shane Woden. This was Saturday footy on ABC Sport.
I just thought the second half they got to work St Kilda a lot heavier than what West Coast did. I think the inside 50s were around about even at half time, and they've got 8 more in the second half, particularly in that third quarter, Wowie. They just came out and overworked them in the midfield.
Yeah, it wasn't a great spectacle of a contest, was it, particularly in that first half, but started to get to work, started to get the ball on the outside more, put a little bit more speed on it. Mason Wood had influence up there. You're right, some of the small started to have influence. Marshall worked his opponents over in the middle of the ground there, and then mid started to get a bit more supply. And in particular, because the game was on the line still at three-quarter time, but certainly in that last quarter, field position off clearance, getting the ball in their front half, scoring, taking their opportunities, and we're just able to do enough in the end.
So Windhager went to Harley Reid, slowed him. He had 17, he ended up with 20, so 3. Steele he had 1 in the first quarter. I think he's ended up with 17, so he got going a bit. Hill Dow, you mentioned, just solid contributor all the way through, and of course Wood was good on the wing, but went forward and became the difference in the game.
Yeah, and I thought their backs, Battle, Wilkie behind the ball, were like really solid, strong, really big brick wall down there. And they'll be getting some drive off Sinclair, Wanganeen Malera.
Battle, he was good.
Yeah, he was good.
Sinclair got in 23. He was midfield sort of half back. They just ground away. It was just typical Ross Lyon win, wasn't it?
Yeah, it certainly was. And they'll be happy with it. What was their... Lost a few in a row, haven't they, the Saints? 3 in a row. So, yeah, good reward. Come over here, a bit of hard work. It's not easy to beat West Coast here, even though where they sit on the ladder. We saw what they did to Melbourne a couple of weeks ago, but here at Optus Stadium, Perth Stadium, it's a tough contest. Crowd on your side or against you as an opposition. It's a good win.
Big win for them, 4th of the season. They desperately needed one. They're heading around the ground to thank their supporters. Always a decent contingent. Western Saints have turned up in good numbers today to see their team win. St Kilda by 14 points over the West Coast Eagles, 12-10 to 10-8. We'll go down into the Saints rooms if we can with you for about another 12 minutes. We'll need to get the votes in the ABC Footballer of the Year and the Christian Medal before all of that. And we'll discuss a bit more about Harley Reid. Mitch Turner's got a couple of the key stats for us.
Just some of the stats. Just firstly, a few of the team stats we wait for the Saints to head down to the rooms. The disposal count ended up going St Kilda's way, 347 to 326. They won the contested possession count as well in the end by 8 over the Eagles. The tackle count, 84 to 65 St Kilda's way. They almost clawed back the hitouts. Eagles won that 45 to 43. The clearance count, 44 to 39 the way of St Kilda, and the inside 50s, 52 to 44. Team stats-wise, they smashed the Eagles in that final term. Individually, the leading possession getter on the ground was Elliot Yeo with 27. Liam Duggan had 25 for the Eagles. For the Saints, Nasiah Wanganeen Millera had 24. Jack Sinclair had 23 to go with his goal. Josh Battle, 22. Paddy Dow, 22. Mason Wood, 22 to go with his 4 goals. What an incredible match he had. The final score, the Saints 12-10-82. The Eagles were 10-8-68 as we continue to see them gather. And as Clint Wheeldon says, still a number of fans from a lot of Eagles fans still, but a lot of St Kilda fans still gathering around the boundary line to congratulate their team as they get ready to head into the rooms. The Eagles on the other side look a little more scattered and disappointed.
So the Saints, off they go. The Eagles, any questions about Harley Reid? I would suspect that tackle on Wilson will be regarded as careless. Certainly would be medium at the minimum and high with his head hitting the ground, which is a one-match ban for Harley Reid. Let's head down into the Saints' rooms. They're making their way in there now, where Bridget Lacey waits for us as well. Bridge.
Yes, very happy team. Ross Lyon just walked through and straight on through to another room. He's not hanging around, but the players look excited to be able to sing the song. It's been a tough stretch for these Saints, but they get to sing the song this afternoon. Just circling up now. No ice for Max King, which might be a good sign. And Paddy Dow's in the middle, copping the sports drink treatment as usual. Here we go.
When the Saints go marching in, oh, when the Saints go marching in, oh, how I want to be a St Kilda. Oh, when the Saints go marching in, oh, when the Saints, oh, when the Saints, oh, when the Saints go marching in, oh, I want to be a St Kilda. Oh, when the Saints go marching in.
There you have it, hoping to get a player very shortly.
Not the greatest of renditions of when the Saints go marching in, and Paddy Dow in his third game as a Saint after 73 with Carlton now gets a win to his name. Was only in the middle for the Powerade pour for just a few seconds.
Just quickly, Shane, you think Harley Reid will get 2 weeks?
Yeah, I think that's a minimum 2.
Well, that would be careless high and high.
Yeah.
But I'm just saying, I reckon best case scenario is one.
Yeah.
Because with Wilson having to go and get treatment, so he has been dazed, he has to go and get treatment, that's at best careless medium. That's careless low and high, which is a fine. Careless medium and high is 1 match. I can't see it being low. It's got to be medium.
Yes.
And careless high and high is 2 matches.
Yeah, I don't think you did the full 15 minutes. If you pass that initial HIA assessment, you don't have to do the full 15. I think it's if you fail the first, then you have to do the scat test after 15 minutes.
Yeah, okay.
To stay off. So he came back on, I believe,
pretty quickly.
Fairly quickly. So
but
they cleared complete concussion pretty quickly.
It's not the outcome, though.
There's no way out of this one, is there?
No.
Nah, he's getting weak.
The AFL will be disappointed, but
yeah, and so will everyone involved in football who
those
don't
who've
get to
had
see Harley Reid for a week.
a little side bet on Harley and or Sam Darcy at the start of the year.
Well, that was a good pick up from you, because you're absolutely right. The 2 favourites, 1 and 2,
gone.
Both will be gone after the 1 weekend of football. So George Warlaw looks a lot better now.
Yeah, you got to throw a wild one on
I wouldn't
Windsor
count this one here too. Darcy Wilson.
Oh, yeah.
Mate, he's a good player.
Yeah, he was good today.
You said this a month ago. You walked into the box one day and said, Darcy Wilson for St Kilda is a very good footballer. And he continued to play well tonight.
Let's get the votes, gentlemen, if you've got them. We'll try and squeeze in that interview downstairs with the Saints.
Yep. 1 to Josh Battle.
Yep.
Thought he was terrific today. At the other end of the ground, 2 to Jeremy McGovern. Again, the 2 intercept defenders. And 3 to Mason Wood with his 22 and kick 4, 8 score involvement. So good day out for Mason Wood.
And so for the Christian medal, McGovern gets the 3, the 2 and the 1.
2 to go, 1 to Cripps.
Saints next are up to the Gold Coast. Beg your pardon, they're against the Gold Coast at the Docklands. That's a Saturday night game, while West Coast have back-to-back home games. So they've lost one here. They would have been hoping that they could get a result in. And now they'll take on North Melbourne. Again, the Saturday middle game for West Coast and North next week. 4 goals to Mason Wood, as we told you. We've got about 6 minutes left here before we take you to Cardinia Park for Geelong and Richmond. Is it fair to say that that's another... It's not getting beaten by 99 points, but for West Coast, who had themselves in a really good position, is that a disappointing performance, that last quarter for them? or was St Kilda just far too good? Because these were two sides around about the same mark, and St Kilda just seemed to be so much better when it mattered.
Yeah, changed gears in that last quarter, didn't they? Particularly early, just threw a punch and sort of rattled West Coast a little bit, and they weren't able to fight the fight for a little while there, and put a bit of scoreboard pressure on, and the game was done.
Tim Kelly makes a difference in that midfield. I just felt like that they got on top eventually, St Kilda in the midfield, and it wasn't through any extra class or anything. They just it was sheer hard work. They put the clamps on Harley, then the rest just got to work and said, let's halve the contest at worst, but they started winning.
Yeah, and then it's up to Yo, isn't it?
Yeah.
To do the work, and it's pretty hard.
Well, I took Harley out, then it's up to Yowie, so that puts it all on his shoulders. It becomes too hard, and they had more spread through there.
Maybe he had to put a little bit earlier with Zane True and get him in. I know he plays mid at West Coast Waffle, so getting a little bit more speed, putting around ball.
He looked natural in there, but
he came on and started forward, which doesn't help when you want to get your hands on it. And
fresh legs,
bit of speed in there.
Isolate Harley in the goal square. Something, it's all great in hindsight.
What about the impact of Marshall today as well? We were surprised that Flynn didn't spend the entire time in the ruck. He was there a little bit, but Marshall with hit-outs, 41 to him, Flynn with 31, Williams with 14, but hit-outs to advantage. Marshall 11, Flynn 8, Williams 4. So two Eagles rucks combined were able to battle away.
Yeah.
How did you assess that?
And probably, again, grinded his way as the game wore on, and I think a bit of pride in his performance too. He got belted by Max Gawn last week too and obliterated in that contest, so find a way. I was never going to think Flynn was going to ruck a full game and be the number one ruckman coming off just one waffle appearance, so he had to take on the two today.
Yeah, Flynn v Marshall was actually that 52 ruck contest. Flynn had a hit out 20 to 17, so he beat him in the hit outs, and hit outs to advantage 6-5. So Flynn v Marshall head-to-head ruck battle. Marshall lowered his colours to Flynn, but the clearance count off the back of that was 22-12 the way of St Kilda, so they didn't turn them into clearances, the Eagles.
Fran texts in. Good point. We've been talking about Harley Reid and what he might get, but we haven't actually described for the latecomers who may have just joined us the situation. You called it, Mitch Turner. What happened?
Darcy Wilson for St Kilda had the ball, was caught by Harley Reid as he tried to kind of break the tackle. He kind of stopped all his momentum, Darcy Wilson. Harley Reid grabbed him by the jumper, and as Harley pulled his own body to ground, he followed through and pulled Wilson to ground with him. There was a bit of a slinging motion, so he pulled him by the jumper, and he ended up hitting the turf very hard, Darcy Wilson, and he hit the turf. He hit his head on the ground, essentially. So whether he hit slightly on his back and ricocheted his head with a bit of whiplash into the turf, he hit his head on the ground. So Harley Reid has gone to ground in the tackle and slung Darcy Wilson behind him. He hit his head, he went off the field. He took the kick initially, Darcy Wilson, so it wasn't out unconscious or anything, but it was a slinging action.
It was. Look at the West Coast support staff behind the fence and their reaction as soon as he's getting it. They are...
I don't know if Harley realised straight away, because I think he's in the heat of the moment. I think it might have been a few minutes after he might have started to think, I'm in a bit of trouble, because his body language did change after that. And there were, as you both picked up, Chris and Shane, a number of Eagles players that were going to him and just patting him on the back. But, I think the replays, I don't know if they'll do it justice, but I think watching it live, the impact, the ground was harder than maybe the replays will show watching it back too.
2 becomes 3, don't forget. There's a bye coming up.
Oh, yeah.
So that makes a big difference. In the way he's going, he's got a bit of momentum in his season. 3 weeks off. 3 weeks off is a big break in the middle of a season.
So for West Coast, as Chris Waterman says, the problems for them after this loss today. North here at Perth Stadium, and then the bye, and then back to the Docklands to take on Essendon in round 15. While for the Saints, this is what they've got to come. Gold Coast at the Docklands, Brisbane up at the Gabba before they get a round 15 bye.
Yep. 10 seconds. Will Jake Waterman be back?
I don't know.
You think it's short-term, long-term, do you think?
Well, there's no long-term structural damage from what I'm led to believe, but whether it's going to be right for next week or whether they say park it, have the bye and get it right for after the bye, I'm not sure.
Some good news.
Sports Talk listeners know their stuff. There was the text this morning about whether or not he passed the fitness test and had the scan.
It's a good program.
lot of doctors out there, isn't there?
There are indeed. Thanks very much, Muddy. Good to have you on board. Chris Waterman alongside the Brownlow medalist in Shane Woewode, and Bridget Lacey will try and get someone for you downstairs. If we can replay that later on, we'll do our best to do so for you. St Kilda have come across to the west and they've taken the points. 12-10-82 to 10-8-68. We expect Harley Reid to have a break or two through suspension. We'll find out all about that tomorrow. Thanks for your company from Perth Stadium.